Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second home match of the 2025 University of Kentucky rifle season, where the Wildcats will be hosting the Murray State Racers, a fellow Kentucky team in the NCAA Rifle Division. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're returning to the broadcast, welcome back. If you haven't noticed yet, we've added some cameras to the range. We have two to get some wide shots of the range, and we've also added another one that can pan, zoom, rotate, and do bunches of 360s. We're still relatively new to this, so bear with us while we work out some of the kinks. Here we've got our lineup for today. We've got a full range. We've got Sam Adkins, we've got Elisa Boozer, Sophia Ciccarello, Braden Pizer, Liz Probst, Jacob St. Hilaire, and Martin Voss for the Wildcats, as well as uh, we got Leah Soul, Carlota Salfia, Abby Ballard, Emma Lawrence, Mallory Johnson, and Caroline Martin for Murray State Racers. Next, I want to give a warm welcome back to our junior Braden Pizer, as well as our senior Sophia Ciccarello from Cairo, Egypt, where they competed in the ISSF World Championships. While they didn't necessarily perform the way that they wanted to, it was definitely a really hard match. I've got some scores for everybody just to give them a sense of what World Championship level shooters compete at. So for 10-meter air rifle, which is going to be our real, I'll start with 50-meter three position. We shoot 50 feet in NCAA rifle here, but you can just get a sense of how difficult some of these scores are to shoot. So for 50-meter three position men, to make the cutoff for the finals, so these are the top 8 shooters at World Championships. You have to shoot a 590 with 34 X's. And for women, it's a 589 with 27 X's, so just shy. And for 10-meter air rifle, men had to shoot a 632.4 in decimal, and the women had to shoot a 633.0 in order to be able to qualify as just the top 8 shooters. We don't necessarily do finals on a regular match format like we'll have today, but what we can do is after the match, you'll see the integer scores, which are 599 or 598 or 587. We'll actually convert those over to decimals so that we can give the shooters a sense of how they performed in terms of what it would be like if they were shooting at a World Cup or World Championship match. So here we are starting off with our small bore event. It's what we're watching now. Athletes will fire 20 shots for record in each of 3 different positions: the kneeling, prone, and standing positions. In between each of those positions, shooters will have a chance to sight in the rifles and equipment. So if you see that little triangle in the top right-hand corner of the target, that means that the shooter is sighting in, and none of those shots will count towards their record score. The match will always start with a 15-minute sighting and preparation period in kneeling, and then we'll transition to a block time of an hour and a half. What's key here is that the athletes can spend this time however they want. If they want to spend 10 minutes in kneeling, 10 minutes in prone, and an hour in standing, it's totally fine. If they want to spend 30 minutes in kneeling, 30 minutes in prone, and 30 minutes in standing, that's cool too. The key takeaway is that barring any major mechanical or equipment failure, all competitors must fire their 60 record shots in that allotted time. So here we can see some of these athletes are just getting started. Some of them just have a couple of shots on the board. Other ones are still feeling out their positions. But generally speaking, we're about halfway through the 15-minute sighting and preparation period. But what's unique here is that you must remain in the kneeling position for this 15 minutes. How you spend that time is all up to you. So it's not like you can take a portion of the 15 minutes and shoot some prone shots because the targets, the electronic targets that we use in the NCAA rifle um, sport is currently set for the kneeling height. So trying to shoot prone at a kneeling height target, you basically have to aim up at the sky in order to be able to hit the target here. So like I said, a couple of people are just now getting into position. You'll see some of these athletes do what we call up downs. So they'll get into position, they'll take a couple of shots, and then they'll literally stand up and then get back down in position in order to be able to practice basically finding that position again and being able to re-execute in the exact same manner that they did on their first couple of shots. Particularly in the sling positions, you'll always find that um, that shooters will tend to fall into a particular position. It's almost like you're sitting in a car seat on a long drive. After a while, like the car seat just kind of like molds to your body. It's kind of similar for the sling positions. Your body generally kind of like molds to the position, and figuring out where you're gonna settle is kind of key here. So we can see Martin actually took a couple of shots here. You can see that on his target, he's coming down. He's found the center, but he's basically doing an up down here. He's gotten out of position. He's sitting down. He's collecting himself, even though he's got around 6 minutes left. He's just taken a drink here. He's got a breather, just assessing the whole situation. Every range is going to be a little bit different. So some ranges happen to be very cold, other ones happen to be a little warmer. UK's range happens to be on the warm side, just due to the old boiler system that the building happens to use to heat the building. And so you'll see these athletes; they'll constantly have some kind of water or hydration material like Propel or Gatorade next to them, just so that they're consistently hydrating themselves through the match. You can think of it like sitting in a 90-degree room with a big old puffy jacket on. You got to think these athletes have multiple layers of clothing. They have basically spandex material or leggings that they'll wear. They'll also have an upper torso one that they'll wear. They then put a sweater over top of that, and then these really thick, custom made canvas and leather jackets and pants. Oh, and then they'll wear boots that you can see on your screen here that go way past their ankles in order to be able to lock in their positions. So we're getting a great shot here of Sam and Liz just going through, trying to find the middle. It's actually a great shot of all the different accessories and risers and sights that go into making this sport basically unique, or making these rifles unique for each of these shooters. So you can see how Liz has a slightly different combination of sight risers, or you can even see on her front sight that she's shifted or moved that sight over to one side, and you can see that the similar almost adjacent movement in her rear sight as well. Sam has the same thing, but he's just got a different combination of sights here. So you can see how low Liz's rifle is. Basically, what these athletes are trying to do is trying to get their center of gravity as low as possible. You can think of, if standing is the least supported position and it's the hardest in terms of balance, then and prone is the most stable position. We can think of it as just the closer the rifle is to the ground, the easier it is to manage the left and right or side to side movement that comes with general instabilities. You can also see that Liz has some stock weights, so we're allowed to have additional weight sets that are added to the rifle. So you can see that just hanging below her bloop tube there, and what she's trying to do is trying to get weight forward of her hand in order to help reduce some of that left and right sway. We can see she's got a little bit when she's firing here. We're going to watch this again. She's got a little bit of recoil coming up and to the right. Normally in kneeling, recoil will tend to go towards the weak side. So for a right-handed shooter, that recoil is going to come up and to the right. So she's coming on the trigger now. Just watch the end of her barrel. Yep. And she's just shifting out to the right. She keeps clicking up. So when we look back at her target, we'll see where she's actually hitting on the target. Moving over to Sam on the left here, he's got a round in the chamber. He's going to take one. See, same thing. You can almost see that recoil kind of push him out towards his weak side. Not uncommon in the kneeling position. Yeah, and you can see he's just shifting around a little bit to try to get a little bit more weight back on that. So if that's that recoil coming out to the right hand side, you can even see he's making a small adjustment with his foot right now, trying to get a little bit more support on that weak side. Got about a minute and 10 seconds left in sighters. Yeah, still out there. And it's interesting because recoil can be indicative of where the shots are going or where they will tend to go. But it's not always, hey, if your recoil is going out to the right, then the shot must be going out to the right. You just shouldn't be surprised if it does that. So here he is. Sam is getting a little, basically breaking position, trying to get back into it, doing a mini up down, so to speak. Looks like he's going to get one more shot off before we go for record here. Yeah, and so Sam looks like is just hovering on I don't know, maybe the 10, 11 o'clock realm, right on the edge of that 10 ring. You can see that 9-7 on shot 11 and that 10-4 where he basically just scraped the X ring there. So we'll see where he winds up when we start the match here in just a few seconds. So at this point, Coach Mullins is going to come out of the armory, basically announce stop, and that the match will begin. We'll see that hour and a half block time show up on the monitors. And from here on out, you are in record. Now, the interesting part is that kneeling, you have this 15-minute preparation and sighting period, and then we go immediately into record. There is no going back to sighters when it comes to the NCAA rifle sport. So typically with the NRA division or the NRA matches that you'll see during outdoor or maybe club matches, you're allowed to go back to your sighters because there are different conditions that may occur. In For indoor NCAA rifle, you're not allowed to go back to sighters. Once you say, "Yep, I'm ready to go for record," that's it. You're not allowed to go back. So we've got some tens coming up on the board here. Braden is already 2 shots in. He's got a solid 10-5 and a 10-2. And it looks like the Murray State Racers are doing well. Get a nice shot of Braden. It looks like he's actually he's updated his bloop tube here, and you can see that because he's just a really tall guy, you can see all the huge stack of sight risers that he uses here. He's also got a brass underbarrel weight. Some people like to use brass instead of steel because it weighs a little bit more. and you see he's absolutely locked in. You can see him shoot, follow through, and then look over at his monitor just to verify where he's going. What's key here, what Braden does really well, is you can just see his eye. He'll watch that recoil, he'll follow through, and then you can see him literally look down to his right to get to his monitor. He's shortchanging himself just a little bit. I think he's cutting himself short on that follow through just a little bit, but he's taking a couple of deep breaths. Just look at the end of his barrel; it's barely moving. And what he does really well is not break position. You see that nice snappy recoil, and even though it's 10-5, didn't quite like it. So I think he's catching himself. Yeah, you can see he's just taking a deep breath here, getting some air underneath his hand. What he does really well is he holds his position, he maintains his cheek pressure, and just loads while he's in position versus breaking that cheek pressure and basically having to reset every time. Seeing a bunch of tens come up across the board. It looks like Sam is still hanging out in that 10, 11 o'clock realm with that first 10-0. We talked about this last match with 10-0 and go, and how sometimes you just wind up shooting donuts and targets. You wind up just living inside of that basically that non-center 10 ring where you wind up making a donut in the middle of the target. But it looks like Sam has made the appropriate adjustment that he needs. He's now coming down on the opposite side of that bull, and he's got 3 10s to show for it. Looks like Liz, also kind of in that 10-0 and go. She's got a 10-3 on the same side that Sam was on, has a 10-0, kind of in that 6, 7 o'clock realm, and there she goes with a 9-6. And so this is what we can see sometimes is that the positions tend to settle in places. So as your body starts to just sink into the position, whether it be prone or kneeling, the sling or the cuff around your arm will tend to roll down a little bit. Your jacket will pull in a particular way. It's just like any part on a car that wears down over time. There are certain parts of positions that just wear down over time, and we see that in particular with the sling positions because you're cuffed up to the rifle for the whole time. Every once in a while we'll see shooters basically put the rifle down, they'll adjust their jacket or their sling in order to basically reset that. You can kind of see Jacob do that right here. He's way out to the right here. He's basically put the rifle down. He's bringing it back up, resetting his jacket and his sling. And it looks like he's going to come back into it. Then this is the greater part about doing up downs in practice is that when when bad situations like this happen in a match, you can confidently, you can see here he's like, nope, I didn't like that, didn't like where my heel was sitting.
we're gonna try this. I have AirPods as backups. Okay, cool, great. Sorry, folks. Just had some audio issues here. Moving over to a set of backup headphones, but back to the match. So relatively well so far. Braden Pizer 100 on his first series. 7-10 so far in his second. He's got a 10-1 out to the left. Hopefully he brings it back in for an X. Looking at Martin Voss. Yeah, there we go. Quick shot of Braden. Nice snappy recoil. He's got another 10-1. Looks like he doubled it right up on that last one. Really taking his time. Wants to come out and kneeling with a solid 200. Every once in a while, you'll see some of these athletes basically look off or out of the sight. What can happen here is that if you stare for too long, you basically, and here he goes. He switches that out, and you can kind of see that recoil kind of react to that as well. But if you stare for too long, you can actually basically get sight or tunnel vision. You can actually burn out your eye. You're trying to focus in or focus all of this light into this really, really tiny hole. Yeah, you can see him there. He was just finding that he was staring at the bowl for too long. But you can imagine that if you basically took a flashlight and you funneled all of that light into a really, really tiny hole, and then we asked you, hey, go ahead and look through that really, really tiny hole for a minute at a time, that you'd probably burn out your eyes. You'd probably look off and be like, wow, my vision is really blurry. That's basically what most of these athletes or most of these shooters are combating throughout the match, is taking enough time to look down the sights that they can properly execute. Yeah, and he didn't like that one either. So Braden finishes up with a 198. You can see he just immediately switches right over to prone, but finished up with a nice 198 here in kneeling. And you can see him go back there, and he's going to make the transition on his equipment for prone. Martin Voss going down the lineup. Martin Voss with a 94 on his first card. Looks like he's working on a 98 on his second. You can see Coach Papasadora just sitting right behind him, giving him some other cues. Looks like Martin is struggling a little bit with some of that left and right movement. You can see him as well. He's got a lot of sight rise. He's coming down into that position, really sinking into the rifle, trying to get the rifle low. Barely any movement coming through the end of that muzzle. Takes it for a nice, solid 10-4. And there's some times where, we look at an individual shot like that, and then we look at some of the shooters' reactions of like, well, why are you reacting like that for a 10-4? There are some times where the shots just don't seem like they're going very well, and we have to get them down range in order to be able to finish out the match. And sometimes it just happens that they happen to be good shots, and you're like, I don't know how it got there. But we'll leave Martin alone. We'll move on to Elizabeth Probst here, 98 on her first card, working on a 100 on her second, if I don't jinx it. But we'll move on to Elisa Boozer, 96 on her first, working on another 96 on her second. Jacob, 94 on his first. Down 2 points so far. Quick shot of Elisa here. Again, very little movement coming through the end of those barrels. It looks like, though, she's also struggling with a lot of that left and right movement. We can see she had that 9-2 way out to the right, and then this 9-4 out to the left, kind of looking down target, down range, wondering if some of the shooting angels are gonna talk to her and basically tell her like, hey, like what do I have to do to get it in the middle? They're just some of those days where you gotta step back, look down range, talk yourself through what the problems or the struggles that you're going through in a match. And then go ahead, load another one, and execute again. So we're going to watch her recoil. We'll see if that's any indicator of where the shots are going. Just give her a few more seconds here. Straight up and down. Hey, 10-0, right? We talked about this last match, but 10-0 and go. A 10 is a 10 is a 10. At least so, at least right now, we don't do decimal score here in for Smallbore, but a 10 is a 10 is a 10. If you shoot 60 10s, 60 10 O's, then you've cleaned the whole match. You can say like, yeah, I was living life on the edge, but still, a 10 is a 10 is a 10. Whether they're all 10-9s or they're all 10-0s, I'd rather be in the 10-9 realm, but just to give yourself a little bit of leeway there. But a 10-0 is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing in that you didn't give up any points, but it's a bad thing that you were a fraction of a millimeter off from giving up that point. So we always try to keep the shots inside of maybe the 10-3 to 10-4 kind of bubble or realm, so to speak, because it gives you a little bit of leeway in case one thing you didn't quite squeeze the trigger correctly, or your cheek pressure is a little bit different, or you didn't come on to the cheek piece the same way, or you didn't approach the target the same way you did the last 10. So you always like to try to keep everything inside of that 10-3, 10-4 realm or better. Moving on to Jacob St. Hilaire. So 94 on his first card. Looks like he's struggling a little bit with some up and down movement. Not atypical, particularly in the sling positions. If a sling is too tight, we'll tend to see some left and right movement. It almost acts like a pivot point at that point. And if it's too loose, we can also see differences in cheek pressure. We saw with Martin's position, we basically had to come down onto that target. And we can see Jacob has a really strong angle with his cheek coming down onto the cheek piece here. He's not quite as upright as, say, Braden is. And this kind of position can have those challenges where you basically squeeze your cheek into your eye socket, and what it can do is squish the image that you're actually seeing, and it becomes very difficult to see vertical dispersion or vertical differences in one image to another. I think that might be what he's struggling with right now. And we see again that recoil comes out to the weak side, his right-hand side, and he's got a 9-7 out to the right. And you see here he's just loosened up what appears to be his cheek piece and made a small adjustment there. We can't quite see it on camera because it's going to be on the opposite side of the rifle there. We'll watch him for another shot and see where it goes. And see here, you can actually see that he's actually changed the angle of his cheek. And now he's now come back to that aggressive cheek angle. And sometimes it's just a matter of where you put your chin. Do you put your chin forward? Do you put your chin back? And that will change the cheek piece's relation to your cheekbone. And he ends with a 10-0 for a 187 with 4 X's. You can see here he'll change over his target. There we go. Put it in deciders for prone, and he'll start to move his equipment over. At this point, the majority of shooters have finished up, so it looks like we've got some great scores for the Wildcats. Braden with a 198, Liz finishing up with that second series with a 100 for a 198, Sam with a 198, Sophia with a 197, and it looks like Martin has just finished up with a 10-0, similar to Jacob, for 191 with 7 X's. Moving over to Murray State, looks like across the board we've got some 193s, some 195s. Looks like Caroline Martin and Abby Ball are trying to beat each other for score here. They're tied up with 195s. And then Carlota and Leah with 193s here as well. Looks like some folks have already started or are already moving into Ciders for Prone. It looks like Sam is going to be the first one down for the Cats, putting shots down range, and Braden is right behind him. And then most of the Murray State shooters have also moved over to Prone Ciders as well. Now again, because we have block time here, there's not a 15-minute sighting and preparation period for prone. It's just however long you want to take. However long or however many shots you want to take in prone to make sure that you're sighted in is however many shots you're allowed to take. You could shoot a whole box of ammunition if you really wanted to, but I don't think anybody wants to sit in prone for that long. So we can see Abby here took 15 sighters before she felt comfortable moving over to record. And now that she's moved for record, again, can't move back. So she's doing that at about an hour and 8 minutes left. So I think she's in good position to have enough time for standing at the end of the match. It looks like Carlota has found the middle. I'm about guarantee she's going to take a couple of more shots and then make the transition over. Looks like Sam took that first shot in the 8 ring. No worries there because it's all sighters. Came up, has now developed a group, and is then going to try to move that group towards the middle here. Same thing what we're looking for in kneeling, but as far as recoil is concerned, we're looking for nice, snappy, straight up and down recoil. The big difference between kneeling and prone is that prone, you're taking that opposite or that weak side elbow and you're placing it on the ground, and kneeling, it's kind of floating in the air. So because you shouldn't necessarily have a weak side anymore, we should have some nice, really snappy recoil up and down. It should have a nice return to center. You can see Sam taking a couple of breaths here. We shouldn't see a lot of movement on the ends of these barrels. Yep, nice and snappy. Does a little wiggle on the bottom as the sling starts to react and take up some of that weight again. And then it's rinse and repeat. Just take a couple of breaths. Make sure that you're not staring down the sights. Yep, nice snappy recoil. What's nice about some of the more recent technologies that have come through in some of the sport is these new rifles have relatively short actions. So some of the older models of 22 precision 22 or 3-position rifles, the loading port or the chamber was relatively far forward of the trigger. And so you would have to effectively load. In order to load, you would effectively have to break position. You would have to lift up your right hand elbow so much in order to be able to get the round into the chamber and then close the bolt. With some of these new rifles, or with most of the ones that we see on the line today, the KK500s, the Blikers, some Grunig and Elmagers, the loading port or the bolts are about half the size of what they used to be. And so most of the manufacturers, or most of the rifle manufacturers, have moved that chamber or that loading port upwards of 30 or 40 millimeters rearward in order to be able to make it so that the shooters don't have to break position as much or as often in order to be able to just load shot for shot. Getting a quick look here at Sophia coming back off of World Championships, developing a nice group right at 3 o'clock in the 9 ring. Yep, she's going to double that up. And you see here, she's just making a small adjustment to her sling. And you can imagine that, even though there's stitching, there's anchors for that sling keeper that's coming off of her left arm, that's holding up or basically hooking underneath her sling. You can imagine that over time, just the pressure between the back of your arm and that rifle, that sling is going to compress a little bit. And so as the match goes on, you'll see that some shooters will actually, they'll have a small tightening knob or screw in order to be able to take up some of that. You'll even see them break position. They'll reach into their armpit, and they'll actually readjust their sling to get it back up onto the correct spot on the back of their arm. So Sophia hasn't made any gross adjustments to her sights yet. We've just seen her make some major adjustments to her position or otherwise her equipment that she's using, and she's still stacking up some of those shots here. A little smirk, trying to get that opposite side elbow underneath to help support her. Again, we're not going to see a lot of movement in prone. The end of that barrel is barely moving. Yeah, and there you go. She's made that adjustment, comes right in and finds the middle. Looking across the board again, looks like some folks have transitioned into record. So it looks like Braden is working on his first shot, and there you go. Ends up with a nice 10-7 to start his prone match. Sam working on the bottom side of the bull coming up. His first shot was really low, 9-4 at 6 o'clock. He's got a 10-2 and a 10-3 that are stacked on each other. I think he's just taking his time on this next one. Yeah, and he's made the appropriate adjustment, making it coming out with a 10-5 on that. Liz doing the same thing as Sophia, kind of working in from 3 o'clock back into the middle. You can see Sophia with that solid 10-4, doubling up on her last shot. She'll take probably, I bet you she'll take 2 or 3 more before she moves over. Liz taking her time as well. So it looks like Liz and Sophia are kind of going shot for shot at this point. Martin kind of doing the same thing, transitioning from right to left to get to the middle.
What you been doing?
Yep, Sophia with another 10-4, stacking right on those last two, and Liz with a 10-6 and a 10-8.
Oh, okay. That helps.
See her move her monitor,
Yeah.
take a couple of more shots, and she'll be ready to go. Yeah, so we can look at Braden's target here real quick. We've got, you can see he started out real strong with a 10-7, 10-6, and we can just see those shots walk out a little bit. So we'll have to make a small adjustment just to get back into the middle. Again, just over time, some of these positions tend to sink into one another. Yeah, and like I said, Liz just took 2 or 3 extra shots. I think she was at shot 11, moving over for record. After probably about 4 or 5 X's in prone, we generally start to see shooters transition over. Unfortunately for Liz, starting out with a 9-7. Never a good way to start out prone. Nice recovery with the 10-4, though. That's what we always like to see. If you do shoot a 9, figure out why the 9 was shot, what caused it, and then recover from it. Because if you don't know why you shot the 9-7 or how it occurred, then how are you supposed to prevent it from happening again? Braden did make that change. So you can see there he's transitioned from that group that was shifting low. He had that 10-1 high after that 10-3, and now he's working his way down in the middle with a nice solid 10-9 on shot 7. Again, not going to see a lot of movement in the ends of these barrels here. He's now got a 10-7 stacked on the 10-9. Not breaking position, barely moving that opposite elbow. He is a lefty, so everything is going to be opposite for us here. So that weak side, that left elbow, you can see him just come onto that trigger. He's pulling, squeezing, taking up the weight, And there he goes. He just pulls right through for a nice 10-6. And you can see as soon as he closes the bolt, by the time he closes the bolt with his left hand, his left elbow is basically already back into the position it needs to be, or the spot on the mat that it needs to be, so that he can just put weight right into it. And you can see him squeeze right through for another 10-6 for a 100 with 9 X's. You can see he's still using that barrel weight here in prone just to be able to get a little bit more weight forward. We talked about this last time of how it's not just the total weight of the rifle, but where the weight is on the rifle that can determine how the recoil management occurs. But you can see here that he's basically taken off all of the risers that he had in kneeling. He actually shoots with something like 4 inches worth of risers in kneeling, and has what it looks like maybe an 8 or 10 millimeter riser just for prone. And then you'll see him actually transition back to like 4 or 5 inches of risers in standing. What can happen sometimes too in prone is that the position is so tight and it's not moving that you can actually take shots early, and that you'll see that a little bit in this up and down movement. Braden, it seems to be rushing just a little bit today, so he's got a 10-8 and then this 10-3, takes a little bit more time on that shot, and he comes down for a 10-6. Looking across the board, it looks like some folks have already finished up prone. Looks like Abby Ballard from Murray State has finished up with a 198, coming out of slings with a 393 with 23 X's. Carlota Salfia just finished up as well with a 198 as well for 391, coming out of slings. And it looks like Caroline Martin has just made the transition over to record. We've got 99s and 100s basically across the board for Murray State. Looks like the Cats are struggling just a little bit. Looks like Elisa, Jacob just transitioned over, but Elisa, Jacob, Sophia are all still insiders, or we're just still insiders, and they're still trying to find the middle. Looks like for whatever reason, Sophia's taking her time in prone. She can't quite find the middle yet. She's still hanging out on that 2-3 o'clock realm. Jacob starts out with a 9-9. Looks like Elisa's group is starting to drift a little bit. You can see how she started out solid with that 10-5 and 10-6, drifted out to that 9-8, is coming back in with a 10-2. She'll have to take a few more shots to really confirm whether that's where her position is going to settle or not. Again, take a couple of breaths, and then all of a sudden we just see the rifle set still. Definitely didn't like that one. I've never seen athletes be more harsh on themselves just by shooting, just like a millimeter too low, being a millimeter off. Or even insiders, you're just like really getting on yourself. Yeah, so she's got a 9-6 low and then a 10-3, kind of splitting the difference between that 10-2 on shot 8 and that 9-6 on shot 9. So I think she's now settling a little low. No major adjustments so far in her position or her sights. For a 10-5, going to double up. So it looks like she's gonna settle a little low. Yep, there it is. I'm curious if she's gonna. Yep, and there she goes. She's happy with that. She's going to transition right into record. Let's see what she does on this first shot for record. Teammates haven't been lucky. Some of them have had 9s on their first shots. We'll see what Elisa does here. There you go, 10-4 right in the same spot. And I think she's happy with that. She's going to live in that little zone right there, right on the edge. So she's starting out her prone match with about 55 minutes left on the clock. Generally speaking, want to see people start to make the transition to standing or offhand right around the 35 to 40 minute mark. That gives you enough time to make the grossest transition or the most major of transitions. You basically, from prone to standing, butt plates are going to get changed out, sights are going to get changed out. Some people even change out entire cheek pieces, or in some cases, like Martin, will change out the entire rear portion of the rifle. That's another one of the major technological advancements that have occurred in the last few years. But right around that 35, 40 minute mark is when we like to see athletes start to transition over, because it gives them enough time to make the equipment changeover as well as sight in. Because standing is the most unstable position, will generally take more time per shot in order to be able to make sure that we're executing shots in the middle of the target. And so you just need a little bit more time and a little bit more buffer in order to be able to do that, and then still shoot the 20 shots for record. Right around the half hour, 20 minute mark is when we start to becomes a little bit of a nail biter, where we start to get worried about whether folks are going to finish on time or really start to really cut themselves short on some of the execution that they're going to have to do. So it looks like Sophia has finally come over into prone. She's taken about 20 sighters in prone in order to be able to feel comfortable with where she's at. And I totally get it. Prone is definitely something that, we're looking for 10-5s and up, 10-6s and up. And she's just struggling to find those deep centers, taking her time, making sure that she executes really well. You can see she's loading fairly quickly just to be able to start that process over again. You can see that she's coming down into the cheek piece nice and slow, really taking her time. And we can't quite see it because her iris is in the way of her right eye. But I'm sure at some point when she's doing mini breaks in her position, she's looking off of the monitor to make sure that she's not blinding herself, and then she's going to come back down and look at those sights. Yeah, and again, she's just hanging on the edge where she doesn't quite want to be. She's got the 10-6, but then she's basically got that 10-4 stacked on top of that other one on shot 2. And you almost see that left hand finger kind of relax a little bit as she starts to go through her shot process. Yeah, and then she's bouncing off to the other side. Honestly, I think her sling is just a little tight. Generally, when that sling is tight, what'll happen is you basically make a fulcrum or a little pivot point via your elbow and the back of your arm, and you almost need to let the weight of the rifle kind of come down into your hand a little bit more. In order to do that, you've got to loosen up your sling. So the problem actually generally leads some shooters to the incorrect solution. So this left and right movement that we're kind of seeing Sophie go back and forth on between the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the bull, that would tell most shooters my position is not stable, so I need to tighten up the sling. Well, by tightening up the sling, you make the pivot point worse, and you wind up exacerbating this left and right movement, when in reality you should back off on sling tightness in order to be able to sink into the position a little bit more. So here she comes in with a 10-9, kind of strafes it in there. Looking across the board, some folks have already finished up with prone, again, making that transition over to standing. You can see Braden bending over and getting some of his equipment, zipping up the backs of his pant legs. He's finished up with a 200 in prone for a 398 with 31 X's. Great score to come out of the slings. We've got Sam with a 197 in prone for 395 with 25 X's. Liz Probst with a 396 with 23. Looks like 23 X's. So Liz and Sam are basically neck and neck with each other. Sam actually shot better in kneeling than he did in prone. But sometimes that can happen. You can struggle a little bit. Looks like Martin is got a 99 in his first card. He's got 2 shots left to go. And again, barely any recoil, any movement coming through the end of that rifle. A lot of that is just due to the weight of some of these rifles. You're allowed up to about a 15-pound rifle. I think the limit is 7 kilograms, 2.2 pounds per kilogram, so it's roughly 15 pounds. You can just see he's blinking, looking right down, barely any movement, and you can see that recoil is just nice and snappy. And even though he's got a 10-0 on that last shot to not lose any points, just didn't quite like it. You can see him shaking his head there. He finishes up prone with a 198 with 13 X's for a 398 with 20 X's coming out of slings, so a little bit lower than what we would like to see him today. In here in just a couple minutes, we'll see him make that transition over to prone or over to standing. We can see Sophie finishes up with a 100 on her first series. She's got a 10-0 on that last shot for shot 10. She's got 9 X's to show for it, so we'll see what she does. Again, she's just taking her time in prone here. Not terribly worried about the timing, though. She's got 48 minutes left. You can see she's got a 9-8, in that same direction. She's got this little bit of left and right movement coming through. And she's really trying to fight right now just to save her as many points as she can in prone so that she can come out of slings in a really good position. At this point, she's only 4 points down. So coming out of slings with a 396 would be really optimal for her. At that point, she'll have right around the 30x mark. You can see she's still bouncing it left and right. Not quite in the middle with that 10-5, but again, a 10 is a 10, and I think she's just trying to manage what she's seeing versus what she's executing on. We'll see if we can talk to her after the match and get a little play-by-play of her prone. Again, really taking her time here. She comes in with a 10-8. She's nice and happy about that. Rinse and repeat. Nice and slow coming onto the cheek piece. You can see her actually look off onto the monitor. Yeah, I know she's looking down her sights. You can see she's looking off again, looking back down, looking off, looking back down. You can almost see the whites of her eyes pop up. Yep, looking off again. Yep, there you go. And it looks like she's found the middle on the second card, so she's doing well. And we'll check back in on her. Yeah, so Sophia is going to be the last one sitting in prone. The rest of her teammates behind her are getting ready to move into standing. We're going to start to see those prone mats come off the line. We're going to start to see people zip up their pants. Slings are going to come off. Yeah, that's right. Go Cats. Beat Murray. And because the shooters already have to come up and out of position in order to make this transition, this is a great opportunity for them to go back and talk with their coaches, rehydrate themselves, maybe get a little snack in order to keep their blood sugar levels consistent for throughout the match. You can imagine if you were trying to do a 3 or 4 hour workout that you probably won't have energy by maybe halfway through it, or maybe even an hour in. So trying to maintain energy levels as well as hydration levels is really, really key and important. Coming back to Sophia, got a 10-0 right on the edge again, right in that same spot she had on shot 10. So it looks like she's made the same mistake twice now. I'm hoping that she comes back into the middle. Just taking her time. Now, to you and me, There she goes. She's still on that right hand edge though. I'm looking to see her make one click. One click isn't gonna hurt. Now, to you and me, the ends of the rifle don't look like they're moving, but the difference between a 10-3 and a 9-9 is so minute that we can't see it unless we're actually looking down the sight. On top of that, because of the sling that's being used, we actually have to shoot between our heartbeats. Some people like to shoot on the upbeat. Some people like to shoot on the downbeat. You see here, she's just getting frustrated with this. She's like, just let this end. Like, I just want to finish prone and get out of position so I can say that I'm done. Yeah, you can see her kind of make that really long blink, open up her eyes to get some air and some oxygen to her iris and her pupils. Watch her for these last two shots here. Oh man, and she's got that 9-8 that comes out there, and then she finally makes that adjustment in her sights. Looks like she took it to the left by one click, and it looks like she's coming back up to the sights to make another small adjustment there. Right around the 396, 397 mark is where we like to see some of these shooters come out of slings. It really sets them up for success in standing. If you have a really good standing, you wind up in the 590s for small bore. If you're struggling a little bit for whatever reason, then you wind up in the high 80s, and that's really what it's going to take in order to shoot a good team score. Yeah, and there she goes. She's on the opposite side of the bull with that 10-6. And I think she's just happy to call prone quits for today. Looks like most of the Murray State shooters have already made the position or are getting into position for standing here. Looks like the Cats are just running a little slower. No problem there. There's nobody here that's really in contention for ending the match with like 30 seconds left. We have 42 minutes left. Most of these shooters are getting ready, making their last bits of equipment adjustments, buttoning up their jackets. I always found that standing was kind of I always had to take a few warm-up shots in order to just let the hips settle, let the body kind of settle into position. It always felt kind of weird to just be like rock solid in prone on the ground, and then like, oh yeah, hey, you got to know, hold up the 15-pound rifle and aim at the same really tiny dot 50 feet away.
Oh yeah.
So we can see a bunch of these shooters are starting to take some shots here in standing. Looks like Carlotta Salfia from Italy doubling up right in that 9 ring with a 9-9, 9-7. Yeah, and she's going to triple it up with that 10-0 here. Doesn't look like anybody has made the transition for record yet, but while we're waiting on that, we'll go across the board and get some scores here. So we got sling scores now: 398 for Braden, 389 for Martin. We got a 396 for Elizabeth Probst. We got a 395 for Sam. Looks like he's the furthest in to his sighters for standing. We've got Elisa, who actually shot a 200 for prone, matching Braden Pizer, coming out with a 388 with 21 X's. We've got Jacob with a 383 coming out of prone with a 196, and Sophia also with a 395 with 25 X's. So she and Sam are tied up so far for the match. We got the Murray State Racers now. We got Leah with a 393 with 24 X's. Ooh. You can just see some of the different styles of equipment here. So for standing, we'll move over from a sling stop to a palm block. You can see them actually resting her hand on, or Carlota's hand on it right there. You can see additional weights out on the back. We see different sets of sight risers come through. She is rock solid. Holy Toledo. And then we also have our shooting stands. So most of the ones that are used now are actually a combination of carbon, magnesium, and aluminum. And a lot of that has to do with travel weight. So the lighter you can make the rest of the equipment, the more tools, accessories, and backup gear you can actually carry with you. So it looks like the stand that Carlota here is using is one of the new carbon ones. Just happens to be colored blue, whereas the one for the shooter on the right here is actually going to be one of the aluminum ones. Carbon is stronger and it's lighter than aluminum. And you can even see some of the differences in some of the stand setups. So moving away from the big plastic box and the aluminum attachment rod to just a very small, tiny, sometimes even 3D printed plastic shelf, just to reduce weight, reduce size wherever you can. I can tell you that none of the rifle teams or even international teams like paying the extra baggage fees for all the bags that go over 50 pounds. So that 50-pound mark is really critical. So it looks like most people are starting to take shots in standing. This is where the match really kind of slows down. Again, taking that extra time in stable positions, just because the fact that there's no sling basically carrying the weight of the rifle anymore. Like we talked about earlier, we can see Braden now coming back in with like 4 inches of sight riser. He's even kind of customized his rear one. You can see that it's almost got like a little cantilever to it to push it more forward than what his the actual action rail would allow. And again, left-handed shooters always look weird to me because we're looking at everything in reverse. But you can see he starts off sighters with a 10-4 and a 10-6. And the nice part about having another set of sights and dedicated sight risers is that, and you can see here he's actually extending his butt plate out a little bit. Get the position just a little bit more tight. One of the nice parts about having dedicated sights is that it's effectively like shooting air rifle because it's the same set of sights for that position every single time. You really shouldn't have to make any major adjustments. If you are using the same set of sights between one position like prone and another position like standing, generally speaking, you'll have to make some kind of sight adjustment in order to be able to get back into the middle or back on target. But great start off for Braden, even though it's all in sighters. I'm sure it'll take a few more in order to be able to just confirm that he's actually shooting and that the position is going to sink well into the middle. Yeah, we actually saw him there. You can actually see him start to sway out to the left, and it looks like he just executed on that sway, and it shows. He's got a 10-1 out to the left. One of the things that shooters can kind of get wrapped up into is shooting on movement. There are some times where positions almost look too good to be true, and you wind up waiting for the position to move before actually executing. It sounds really weird, but it's almost like you get into your head, your own head of, yeah, there's no way that the position could look this good. There's no way that it's just sitting still, because it doesn't normally sit still. And so when it starts to move, you're like, oh yeah, this is what it should look like, and then you wind up executing on that, and then it turns into either a weak 10 or even worse, maybe a wide 9. So you can see Braden really took his time on that one. You saw him sway forward a little bit, which would have put him on the left-hand side of the target. He actually came back, and then he executed. So there are times where shooters will actually wait. They'll see a nice, solid sight picture. They'll wait for it to come out to say to themselves, no, that's not what it should look like anymore. And then they'll wait for it to come back in to say, okay, now I've reconfirmed that I am looking at the correct image. I'm looking at the good sight picture now, and then they'll start to execute. Coming over to his teammate Martin, likes to load in position again because of those short actions now, particularly the fine work bow 2800 that he's shooting. He has the ability to load in position. With some of those older actions, you would literally have to toss the bullet in order to be able to get it into the chamber. And Martin kind of sinking into the right now. You can see some of that recoil come out to the right as well. Starting out high, working his way down into the bull. Got about 30, 35 minutes left in the match. Martin looking down sights. You can see him just sway a little bit. And everybody's shot process is going to be a little bit different, but there's no sense in looking down the sights and burning out your eyeballs with all of the light that's coming through if you're still swaying so much left and right. So waiting for the position to settle before you start to look down the sights is generally advisable. But again, everybody's process is a little bit different. Some people like to look down the sights and actually see the movement start to close in or start to shrink before they actually execute. Martin and I just happen to be in the same boat. I want to see the position settle, or basically watch it from the outside before we start coming down onto the sights. Braden starting off his standing match. It looks like he's the first one on the Wildcats to take a record shot. Deep 10-7 for him. It had nothing but tens in his sighters. So excited to see what he does here in standing. Again, 30 minutes left. Looks like some of the Murray State shooters have also transitioned. Around 30-minute mark, that's going to give you about a minute and a half a shot. That gives you a nice little buffer. Some shots you're gonna take quicker, some shots you're gonna take faster, but generally around the 45-second-ish cadence, we'll see shooters go from load to load or shot to shot. So it looks like Carlota Salfia from Murray State has taken her first record shot and standing for a 9.6. Abby is just a little bit ahead of her, 5 shots in. She's got a 48. Got some nice solid 10s there, but she's got a 9.9 and 9.7 peeking out to the left. Looks like Emma is really taking her time. So is Mallory. They've got nearly 20 shots in standing sighters so far. It looks like Caroline has also made the transition over. We'll see how she starts off her standing match. Looks like Leah's got 10 shots in so far for her sighters. Looks like everybody's just really taking their time today. Coming back over to Sophia, she's she's in her own little world here against the wall. So as a right-handed shooter on that last point, it's just you and the wall. There's everything is happening behind you, which is kind of nice in some sense. You can kind of be in your own little world here, and you can see she's just working her way in, starting at 9-5, 9-6, and 9-0 out to the right, and she's now clipping the 10 ring. She's got a 10-3, 10-3, and a 10-5. Really, really strong standing shooter, and she'll come nice and slow onto that cheap piece, just like she does in prone. And again, very, very little movement coming through. She does have a little bit of left and right coming through. I'm kind of surprised at that shot going as far north as it did. Got an 8-9 showing up at 12 o'clock. But again, looking at the end of that barrel, we're going to see a lot more left and right hand movement here, particularly in standing, and it'll be a lot more noticeable because you'll actually be able to see their body move in relation to some of the things around them. So we can look at the decal on the wall against Sophie's left forearm there. You can see she's getting a little bit closer, a little bit further away, kind of feeling herself out there. And again, everybody's process is going to be a little bit different. So it looks like Sophie likes to put her rifle down and load with her left hand onto the left-hand side of the gun. Other people like Martin like to stay in position and load with their right hand. All depends. Everybody's preference. Coming back out, looking at the grand scheme of things, looks like Braden is 5 shots deep for a 49, dropping 1 point with a 9-6 on shot 4. Martin has just made the transition over for record, looking to have a strong start there. Sam also taking his time. He's 18, almost 20 shots deep into his sighters. Martin starting off strong with a nice solid 10-6. Liz is slowly working her way in. Elisa has also moved over for record. She's got 2 shots, basically catty corner to each other, sitting a little bit low. She's just got to bring it up, and she'll clip the 10 ring. Jacob kind of doing the same thing. He's got a nice round group being developed there. He's just got to move it south a little bit. There you go. Elisa comes up for that 10-3. She's been actually sitting on the low side of the bowl the whole day. Even in prone, she was moving from her sighters, her last few sighters, and her first few shots in prone were all in the 10-4, 10-3 realm on the south side of the bowl. Sophia is really starting to make that find the middle here. She's got a 10-5, a 10-0, and a 10-4 with 26 and a half minutes left on the clock. Elisa coming back up a little bit more for that 10-5. Looks like Sophie made a little too gross of an adjustment. She's now sitting low with that 9-4. Again, right around the 25-minute mark is when it's a little bit of a nail biter for me, because I never like being pressured by the clock. Now, granted, these are extremely high-level athletes that are used to a clock kind of talking to them and telling them, like, hey, we're counting down and there's nothing you can do about it. And you've got to take all 20 of your record shots, or all 60 of your record shots. Like, you've got to do it, otherwise you're going to take the 0. And so it's not uncommon for them to run down to, the under 30-second mark on the clock here. I never like getting that close to it. So doing everything that you can to try to prevent that, to save yourself points or save yourself those execution points, I think is really critical. Again, looking across the board, looks like most folks are actually doing really well in standing here. We've got Braden, who's only down 2 points. Martin just shot his first 9 on shot 4 for a 9-7. Another 9-7 on shot 5. Started off really strong with a 10-6, 10-2, and 10-7. We'll see if he recovers. Looks like Elisa also down 3 points, working on a 97 for her first card. She's 6 shots in, working on her 7th. Sam has finally made the transition over to record. Liz is probably going to do the same here in the next few shots. Sam starts off with a solid 10-4 on his first shot. Liz just needs to come down just a little bit. You can see she's working on 9-8, 9-9, 9-8. Right on the bubble, right on the edge. And she's got another 9-2, basically just in that same group. Coming over to Murray State. Looks like Leah's got a great group. She's only got 2 strong 9s and 1 weak 10 for a 68, 7 shots in. Looks like Abby is doing really well. She's got a 98 in her first card. She's clean so far on her second. 10-5, 10-4, 10-1, 10-7, 10-2. Carlota had a really good first card, 97. She's starting off a little weak on the second one. She's already got 2 9s, a 9-6 and a 9-7 on shot 11 and 12. But if she did anything like she did on the first card, she'll have a nice streak of 10s here to show. Yep, and comes right back in and recovers with a 10-8. Emma doing really well. She's working on a 99. There she goes. She's got it. 10-4 on shot 10. She's only got a 9-6 on shot 6. Great way to start off her standing portion of the match. Mallory, a little bit of up and down movement. 3 9s back to back to start off her standing. Looks like Caroline is looking on her for a 96. She's got 2 10-2s right at 12 o'clock here. Got an all-female team for Murray State today. Abby with another 10-5. Carlota with a 10-7. There you go. Leo with a 10-2. Got 10s popping up. Yeah, Carlota's got that nice string of 10s. No way. I no way would talk that into fruition there. Both she and her teammate Abby pair up with a set of 9 8s. Carlota's on shot 16 and Abby's on shot 18. We'll give Caroline a little bit more time to finish up that first card. Again, kind of just trying to manage that up and down movement. There she goes. She's got a nice solid 10-4, finishing up that first string with a 96. We've got Leah with a 98 on her first, ending on a 10-7. And unfortunately, it looks like Carlota basically strafed out an 8-5 on shot 17. We've got Braden coming in with a 98 on his first card, taking a small break. You can see he's just got his rifle resting on his stand there. We got Martin with a 96 on his first card. Liz has made the transition over for record. She's got 20 minutes and 30 seconds left. Starts off with a 10-7. Sam, 3 X's to start off his standing match. Coming back off of that 9-8 on shot 4 with a 10-5. Looks like Elisa is moving a little bit left and right. Again, not uncommon to see that in standing. Just trying to manage it as well as you can. Jacob started out with a 10-2, followed up with an 8-8. Never like to see that. Start off strong and then have a relatively weak shot. always looking to try to recover off of those and try to limit them as much as possible. Looks like Sophia has also made that transition. She's found the middle, really strong standing shooter. And a lot of that is going to come from her experience in air rifle as well, with all those 599s that she managed to shoot in her career here at UK. Really taking her time. Looks like she's just taking a breather here. 17 shots left, 19 minutes and change to go. Braden starting off his second series with a 9-9. Looks like he's just missed. Just missed that 10-0. You see again, left and right movement coming through. Holding nice and steady right there. There he goes. And unfortunately, it ends up with a 9-3. So again, I think everybody is struggling a little bit with that left and right strafe kind of movement. Yeah, you can see him he's even taking the whole front weight off the end of his rifle. I'm not sure if he was experimenting with that or not. But he's taking that huge brass weight off the end of that rifle. I bet you that's gonna change that balance point a little bit. It's actually gonna bring it a little bit more rearward. And we talked about this in the last match, but where the weight is just as important, if not more important, than how much the rifle weighs. So more weight is great because it takes up recoil, it eats up recoil. Wow. And it can make positions hold really well, because what tends to stay at rest, or what is at rest tends to stay at rest. But in the same light, what is in motion tends to stay in motion. So if there is any sway in the position and the rifle is heavy and the weight is really far away from you, it becomes really, really difficult to try to prevent the rifle from stopping moving, or making sure that the rifle doesn't move to begin with. And so it takes a lot of energy to make sure that the rifle is still and stays still. And off of that 9-3, Braden comes up with a 10-7 after just, removing, at least a half a pound of weight off of his rifle. And we'll come back to him to see how he does. Moving back over to Sam, he's got a 97. We talk about this a little bit in the sling positions, but it can even happen in the standing position. It's just a little less common to see it, because there's a lot other factors like balance that tend to govern the group a lot more. But you see, he's got a nice solid group. He's got X's in there, and then he's got 9-5 and 2 9-8s sitting out on the left hand side, sitting between 9 and 11 o'clock. See him take a couple of breaths here. You can see the rifle move up and down. Yeah, and we saw that recoil come nice straight up and down. I think it was just a small execution error on his part to go a little low for that 9-8. But again, I'd rather see, and he makes a small adjustment actually to his sights. I'd rather him stay in the middle, left and right, because that's the challenge with standing. It's a lot easier to fix the up and down movement in the standing position than it is to fix the left and right movement. We can see here his teammate Elisa Boozer coming off the line, talking with Coach Papasador right now in the background. Again, Sam is going to do his little breath technique here. You can see the barrel of the rifle just come up and come down a little bit. Looks good, looks nice and solid. A little bit of left and right. Nice, good recoil, and he ends up with a 10-0. It happens to be over where those 9-8s were. Looking down on his monitor, trying to evaluate what he's going to do next. You can see him kind of almost fiddling with his bolt there, trying to figure out what he's going to do. It's always a battle of trying to determine whether you're gonna click or whether you're gonna make a small adjustment to your process, make a small adjustment to the position. You got to think, we're talking about the difference between a 10-0 and a 9-9 is less than a tenth of a millimeter. Whatever physical adjustment you're going to make 50 feet away to move a tenth of a millimeter, I mean, it's so finite, it's so minute that changing where the palm rest or palm block sits on your glove could have an effect on where the shot goes. Again, Sam looks like he's already gone through that little breath process. And it looks like there he goes. And he's got a 10-1 to show for it. Again, just looking for 10s at this point. Looking to maintain score through standing. And it looks like he's doing well. He's on pace for a 591 so far if he goes clean. So we're looking at 590, high 80s. That's a great score for Sam. Looking across the board, it looks like most people are coming into their second card or about to finish up the match. So Elisa finishes up with a 576 with 20, it looks like 26 X's. Unfortunately, ending on that 9-8. Again, a little bit of that left and right movement coming through. Braden has got 2 shots to go. Assuming that they're 10s, he'll end up with a 592, probably cracking 40 X's. He's currently sitting at 39. Teammate Martin Voss is only down 1 point so far on this card. Moving on, so I don't jinx him. Looking at Liz, doing well so far. She's got 1 point down on her card. She's still hanging out on the top end of that bowl, and I'm looking to see her make us just a small adjustment, even if it's 1 click down. 1 click is not going to put you on the opposite side of the 10 ring and put you into the 9s. You can see here she's just taking a really big, deep breath. Barely any movement coming through. You can kind of see the size difference between her and her teammate Martin behind her. Again, still sitting on the top side of that bowl. Not quite happy with it. But hey, it's a 10. Taking a small break, a big deep breath. More often than ever, we're seeing shooters nix the use of a mitten or a glove in standing. Try to get a little bit closer to the rifle. You wind up feeling a little bit more. Liz coming down strong. You can see she's just feathering her finger onto the trigger. You can see her kind of relax her hand a little bit, her trigger finger and her trigger hand a little bit. And there she goes. She's got a nice solid 10-4. I think she took that a little quick and she's beating herself up about it. You can see she's actually smiling. She's like, hey, I probably took that a little fast, but you know what? I'm happy it's a 10-4. She's doing really well right now. She's got a 99 on the first card in standing, and she's about to make the transition over onto her second with just under 11 minutes to go. So she's just got to maintain pace at this point, keep executing the way she is, and she'll end up with a really, really good small bore score for the match. See, again, she's got really, really light pressure on the tip of her finger there. Barely any movement coming through. She's going to execute. It happens to be a little high, but that's where a lot of her shots have been going so far. We'll come back to her. Again, I have a tendency to jinx the UK shooters here. Looking across the board, it looks like Leah is finished up with a 590 with 36 X's. Excellent score for her. Carlota Salfia, her teammate on the Racers, with a 580 with 27 X's. Abby Ballard with a 590 with 33, just shy, 3 X's short of Leah. Looks like Emma has also finished up. She's got a 583 and 30 X's. Great X count for the score. And Caroline Martin with a 582 with 19. Looks like their teammate, Mallory Johnson, has just rolled over into her second series for standing. 9-3 on her first shot, 10-5 to recover from that. 9 minutes and change to go. Looking at the Wildcats, look like Braden Pizer has finished up with a 591 with 39 X's, so he didn't quite crack the 40X mark, but that's okay. Teammate Martin Voss with a 584 with 29 X's is what it looks like. Looks like Sam is really working hard and standing here. He did struggle in the last home match in standing, so we're looking for him to improve on that this go-round. Looks like Elisa Boozer, again, 576 with 25, 26 X's. Freshman counterpart, Jacob St. Hilaire, had 2 10-1s on shot, 11 and 12, and unfortunately has a 8-8 on shot 13, but comes right back in with a 10-3 to basically triple up on those 2 10-1s there. You can see some of the added weights that Jacob has, not only on the end of his rifle, but underneath his cheek piece. It's almost like a lead brick that he's got. And again, he's chosen to not shoot with a glove on his supporting hand, but you can see he almost cups or claws the end of the palm block to make sure that he's got a nice solid hold on it. Well, I'll have to ask him. I don't think he shoots with a sight-mounted blinder in other positions. I'll have to ask him that. I thought I noticed him shooting with a visor-mounted one, almost a one that comes under his headband and comes down over his eye versus one that's mounted to the sight. We'll have to ask about that. Now, what it looks like is that Jacob actually has negative cant. So typically with right-handed shooters, you'll cant the rifle into you, or what would be counterclockwise. Every once in a while, you will see shooters that have negative cant, or they'll cant outwards away from them. That can be a little dangerous. What happens is when you have such a heavy piece of metal, like a rifle, and it happens to be canted away from you, it tends to shift your balance quite a bit. And because of that, you can actually wind up with some over rotation, and that maybe would have caused that 8-8 to pop up. On top of all of the other things that these shooters are trying to manage for themselves, they have to manage the cant, or the angle that the rifle is actually pointing towards the target, because there's this unique relationship between the center line of the barrel and their sights. Well, if you start to turn or cant them, then the center line is no longer lined up with where the sights are actually pointed. And even though you may have executed dead on in the middle, well, the barrel isn't actually pointed in the middle anymore. And what we'll see is kind of a 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock kind of movement when we start to see cants and angles start to change. And that may have been what happened with that 8-8 off of that group that he had with the 2 10-1s and that 10-3. You can see him just get a little frustrated here, just trying to find the middle, looking up at some of the monitors. Coming back out, we got just about 5 minutes left to go. Looks like Murray State shooter Mallory Johnson's got 3 shots to go. Sam Adkins from University of Kentucky, 1 shot left. Sophia from UK, 4 shots left. Going neck and neck with teammate Liz Probst, also 4 shots left. She's working on a 99 in the second card too, so she's doing really well. Zooming in on Sam for his last shot. Got a couple of 99s and 97s, but overall group is nice and tight. Just got to execute really well in this last one. And you can see some of those visor-mounted blinders that I was referring to when we were looking at Jacob. Looks like all Sam, Elisa, and and Liz all have them. Looks like Sam is really holding on this last one. Didn't like it. 9-7 on shot 20 for 586 with 32 X's. Good X count, but definitely missing out on score with some of those 9s on that last card. I think score and pressure getting to Liz a little bit. She's working on a 593 right now. She's still got 2 shots left. X count is going to be a little low for the score, but again, that's where a lot of these 10-0s are going to come in. So right around the 590, we're going to say the 590 to low 590s mark is when we start to see high X counts, right around the 40 X count. Now also keep in mind, Liz's career high in Smallbore is currently at a 589. All she has to do is shoot a 6 and she'll tie it right now. She's sitting at a 583 with 31 X's. I'm sure she'll do better than that. She's got plenty of time, 2.5 minutes. She's just got to keep that out of her brain, focus on her shot process, and she'll do just fine. Looks like a teammate Sophie right up against the wall. Slow, low and slow on that cheek piece again. Very, very tight group on this second card. Looks like she's found the middle. She's got a few non-center 10s there, but she's got some solid X's in there as well. Oh, 10-0 and go. There she goes. And finishes up with a 590. She really worked her butt off for this match. And again, we just talked about it. We like to see that high 30s, low 40s X count for that 590 score. Here she comes in with a 590 with 36 X's. And that's it. And what she end up with. So Liz ends up with a 9-7 on her last shot for the 592 with 31 X's. That is her new career high. Got a minute and a half left to go on the clock, and everybody is completed their match here. Great shooting all around. Murray State really, really pulled it out in standing. Great standing scores. You can see a bunch of 99s, deep centers here. Looks like we're still loading scores into the NCAA website online, but we've got this up here so far. You can see some of the air rifle matches have already been added. So the teammates or the Wildcats that have shot their match yesterday, their scores have already been loaded online, simply because we don't have enough room to host the entire UK rifle team as well as the Murray State rifle team. And we try to limit the Saturday matches to one relay. That way we can give everybody their Saturday afternoons back. But here you can see that Sam Atkins, Sophia Ciccarello, Braden Pizer, Elizabeth Probst, and Martin Voss have all been squatted for Smallbore. And on the air rifle side, we'll actually have a slightly different lineup. We're going to have Sam Adkins, Elisa Boozer, Sophia Ciccarello, Braden Pizer and Elizabeth Probst. Again, the drop score, or the lowest of each of the small bore and air rifle scores among those 5 individuals, will be dropped, and we'll only take the 4 highest scores, and that'll be used to calculate the team aggregate. And at this point, we'll transition the range over. You can see coaches and staff helping move a lot of the monitors and equipment, get the brass up off the range. You can see Braden is already going through his little after action match report with Coach Papasadora there, nodding her head. Ended up really well on score, but I think he was looking for a few more points, trying to end up in the mid 590s there. And that concludes the small bore portion of our match today. At this point, again, we're going to move all the equipment up. We'll see monitors and boxes start to get moved. Equipment's all going to get changed out, and we'll start to see air rifles show up on the range. It's kind of a circus act. It's like, all right, everything's got to come down and everything's got to move. All this new equipment's got to come out in about 5 minutes in order to be able to prep for air rifle. But like I said, once the range has been changed over and these athletes make their equipment change, we'll come back and we'll let everybody know what time the air rifle portion of the match is going to get started. Generally, somewhere between 11:15 and 11:30. So if you need to go to the bathroom, get another coffee, go mow the lawn or something like that, just come on back and we'll let you know. Alrighty, everybody. We'll see you then.
What's up, son?
Hey.
Do you want to say something?
No. That's alright. What's up? About to go walk around USMA West Point.
Shout out to our Navy friends.
Today was unique. I had to put in a lot more effort than normal to get the same result. But we worked hard. We powered through it. That's the Kentucky way. So.
All right. A lot to learn. It was all right, I guess. But as far as things to take away, I felt like I learned a lot of it. And hopefully going in tomorrow, we'll do better.
It was my first full match back, so I'm pretty happy with how it went, and I feel pretty good. So,
definitely obstacles to overcome, but integrity stayed.
Wow, mic drop.
A lot of luck in Smallbore standing. A lot of luck. 5, 10 ones in one string was kind of crazy. But no, slings were pretty solid. Good decision making. Air rifle just struggled to focus first half, and the second half really picked it up and made sense.
It was a good learning day, let's just say.
Our bags on points.
Quick something about your match.
It was cold, but I mean, I didn't really feel it. A lot of people thought it was cold, but I didn't really.
Yeah.
It was just chilly. So
That's all you
I
have to
think
say.
people overhyped it.
Huh? Not yet.
What did people overhype?
Match was alright. Could be better. Luckily, we have another match tomorrow, so whatever we didn't like today, we can do better tomorrow.
So my question to you is, when you run your process, and it doesn't give you what you want, where are you at in the decision-making process? Mentally. Because we talk about this a lot in practice. Don't get pissed off. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. And we also talk about we have to practice that, right? And for some of you guys, doing a real good job. But when you make cloudy decisions, you can't expect clear results. That's just reality. When we make cloudy decisions, you cannot expect clear results.
Okay, so Martin owes me because I bought all of the guys on the team lunch while we were at Navy, with the exception of Jacob. He's a smart one. Anyways, so Martin owes me, and Martin is Norwegian, and he cannot use a Venmo. So now he's just buying everything for me today until he meets his balance.
We
of what he
swear,
owes.
you owe me $50 now.
No, you owe me $50,
I
Martin.
don't know what you're talking about.
You owe me
I don't
50.
know. You know what? I just bought 2 tickets for myself. The New York Public Library. Knowledge. Outside Carlos, we got cannolis. We got a chocolate one. We got an original one.
I also got original one. I got a cookie sandwich.
Oh, look who has the camera.
I got a cookie sandwich. Oh, never mind. No, you put
Mmm. What did you think, Martin? What do you think, Jacob?
8 out of 10. I'm gonna have diabetes by the end of this.
What do you think, though?
Let's get.
Did you try anything?
I just ate half my cannoli in there.
The whole bag. Oh, bubblegum.
It's good. Really creamy. It looks better on TV. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, 4 boom set. Boom, 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 boom.
All right. I also got a chocolate one.
That looks good.
You don't feel inside as much, but it's more. It's It's the same, but just more chocolate. Around 8.5.
We're in Times Square.
Alright, we just have pizza here, fireplace, and carrots gluten free. She got a bagel. She'll show the bagel to the camera. Wow, looks fire. Looks fire. Here, how was the pizza?
Delicious.
Delicious pizza. Everybody like the pizza?
So good. They're very pretty. Very pretty.
First time in New York City, what do you think?
It was very fun. Very good. Next time, I would like to come see more stuff, but I mean, we had limited time, so we got to see a lot. But it was fun.
Elijah, what do you think?
I liked it. It was fun. I got to enjoy it with the team. Yeah.
I love New York City. This is like my 5th time here, and I love it. Let's go. See what the boys think about New York City. Did you have a good time?
Amazing city.
What do you think? First time in New York City?
It's good. It's good.
All right, Lauren. First time in New York City. What do you think?
It was alright. Good. Nashville was better.
All right.
It was a good match. We had a good score, solid score. Nebraska came out on top. Props to them. Another great score from them. Then we went to Woodbury Premium Outlets, shopped around for a while. Now we're at LaGuardia.
You want to see what you bought?
Oh, I bought a new watch.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're at LaGuardia. I'm about to eat some food, do some homework. Our flight is delayed 1 hour, so shout out to Kentucky weather for keeping us in New York a little bit longer. I'm not really complaining.
Would you want to say something about the match?
Poor performance overall. But only 2 weeks till next match against Memphis. Go crush them. That's the goal. Sammy can't wait for the next match. Sammy's had 2 PRs this weekend.
Let's go, Sam. Applause for Sam. Applause for Sam. Woo!
So, yeah, Sammy is the man. Can't wait for Memphis.
Fresh comments about the match?
I'm excited for the next 2 weeks to get back into the range and to practice for our next match.
It was a good one. It was nice and consistent. Got some hurdles to work out in air. Smallbore, I mean, some things to work on as well, but felt much more solid than that.
Team did really good. I can't wait for a new suit in a couple days. It's in the US.
Do you want to say something about the match?
I think that they were both hard-fought matches. Of course, we're in the beginning of our season, so there's always things that we can do better, things that we did well. So hopefully we can just build on the good things and make the things we can get better.
Thanks. Yeah,
Match was good.
Is it recording?
It's already recording.
Oh, okay, good.
Match was good. Couldn't be better. Super proud of this team.
All right.
Shout out to the team. Great performance in Nebraska. Did better than us, so shout out to Nebraska as well. Great matches. Next match, we're gonna be at home on November 8th. Unfortunately, Braden and I won't be gone because we have World Championships, but you guys should come to Barkerville to watch this guy shooting. And 5 more people, but they're in a car or in Lexington right now. But come watch us. Peace out.
Alrighty, welcome back, everyone, for the air rifle portion of our match here today. We got another 15-minute sighting and preparation period that just started. And soon we'll kick off the air rifle portion of our match here. All right, so coming out of the small bore portion of the match, the Cats are sitting at a 23-59 with a career-high small bore coming from Elizabeth Probst with a 592. Teammate Braden Pizer coming in with a 591. Sophia Ciccarello, a 590. Just made it there with that last 10-0 last shot with a 10-0 on shot 20 and her standing. And Sam Adkins with a 586, ending on that unfortunate 9-7. However, the Racers also doing very well, 23-42, sitting 17 points behind the Wildcats. Leah with a 590, teammate Abby Ballard with a 590 as well. Emma Lawrence with a 583, and teammate Martin with a 582. "17 points down for the Racers is going to be a little bit difficult for them to make up the gap here in air rifle. Most of these shooters are excellent air rifles. Excellent air rifle. We'll generally see scores in the mid to upper 590s, maybe even a 600 today. If that's the case, then the Racers have to make up a 17-point gap. That means that on average, each one of their shooters will have to perform 4 points better on average than every counting score that Kentucky shoots. So let's say the average counting score for the Cats is a 595. That means that the average that the Racers have to shoot is a 599, and they even have to squeak out a 600 even to just tie scores. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for the Racers to make up the gap. This is a similar gap that the Cats had the last home match that we had. We were down 17 points after Smallbore. We were able to make up a little bit of that, but we did wind up losing that match by a total of 10 points. So we'll see what our two teams here work out today. If it's anything like what we shot in the past, we're looking at around a 23-85 for the Cats. So that's down 15 points as a team total. So it comes out to around a 596, 597 average among the counting 4 shooters. But we'll see what happens today. The Racers can really pull this out, and the Cats have an opportunity to drop this off. So As they start to get sighted in and transitioned here, you can see some of them are still making some adjustments to the rifles, like Martin, and it looks like Jacob is even tightening up his belt, making some adjustments on some of his physical equipment there. Everybody seems to have a little bit of an order of things that are a process that they like to go through. You know, they have to lace up their boots a particular way, or their feet have to go in a particular position. You know, they always zip up their left pant and then their right pant leg. So just like before, we'll go into a 15-minute sighting and preparation period. Again, this is to make sure that mechanically the rifles are sound, mechanically all of the other equipment is working well, and that everybody is sighted in prior to us going into block time. Now, we had an hour and a half of block time for the small bore portion of the match, but in air rifle, we have an hour and 15 minutes. That comes out to about a minute a shot. And if you can imagine 20 minutes for your first 20 shots, a 5-minute break, 20 minutes for your second shots, a 5-minute break, and then 20 minutes again for your last 20 shots, it comes out to around an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes. So it gives these shooters plenty of time to be able to go through the match and take breaks and have a little bit of extra time in case something does go wrong. We'll generally see most of the collegiate athletes will finish up between an hour and an hour and 10. Some shooters even are just fast through this whole process. We'll see them finish up around the 45 to 50-minute mark. The air rifles are a little bit lighter. They're a little bit easier to control. The limit for them is 5.5 kilograms, or right around 11 pounds. So they're significantly lighter than the small bore rifles in their heaviest configuration. And the nice part about air rifle is that it's always shot in standing, and it's exclusively shot in standing. I'll say it that way. So all 60 shots are done in the standing position. When we look at the NCAA course of fire as a whole between small bore and air rifle, 2/3 of all of the shots that are fired are done in the standing position. So realistically, the 20 shots in standing for small bore plus the 60 shots in standing for air rifle make up more than 50% of the score that actually becomes the team score for any one match. So it's super, super important that standing and air rifle shooting is a part of each of these athletes' training programs, and to make sure that they can do it well, because realistically, prone is only 20%, or is only 20 shots of the 120 shots that go and make up a individual shooter's score. So it represents a very small portion of the total score. And it's these are really gimme points. Prone is relatively easy to shoot in comparison to the standing positions. And we've seen a transition towards athletes really focusing on the standing portions of matches, and I'm not going to say disregarding, but really pushing away from practicing the sling positions, because standing represents a larger portion of their total match between small bore and air rifle. The other nice thing about air rifle, we talked about this before when we were talking about Braden switching out, full sight sets, but air rifle is nice because you'll only ever have one set of sights, because there's only ever one position. You generally don't see shooters change from one sight set to another unless there's a mechanical problem and they need to move on the fly, or make that change on the fly. Generally speaking, most shooters will start out in the weak 9s or low 10s, and you'll start to see them make the minute adjustments to work their way into the middle. You can even see here Sam has already started shooting 10s from his first shot to his 8th shot in sighters. He's got 5.5 minutes left to go, and at this point, all he's doing is just validating what his position is going to do and how it's going to start to settle and sink. Well, if we look at Sophia's group, again, we talked about this in previous years. I mean, she's a senior now, and she's had the same tendencies this whole time, but she generally will have some up and down movement in her air rifle and her standing. We saw a little bit of left and right movement in her small bore standing, and it looks like a lot of that is coming through in her air rifle here today as well. But generally, Sophia tends to shoot a little bit of 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and we see that a lot with short-statured shooters. In fact, if we look at her teammate Liz Probst, the target right above hers on our screen, you can see that up and down movement. Now, we're insiders, and they can just be feeling themselves out and getting their position settled and all that. But what happens with shorter statured shooters, where the target heights are set to a standard height for everybody, you'll generally see that shorter statured shooters will have to throw their hip out towards the target in order to be able to get up towards the bull. And you can even see it inside of Sophie's group right here. She's got some high shots and she's got some low shots. Now, if we move that whole group up, you see she's even making some large adjustments to what it looks like is going to be, I'm not sure if it's her cheek piece or, oh no, she's doing it to it looks like her butt plate. So what she's doing here is she's making the adjustment to her butt plate. She's going to raise her butt plate in order to raise the rifle and basically do this artificially. There's a couple of ways that she'll manage her group throughout the match. You can see some shooters actually will artificially do it by increasing or bumping up the butt plate, which will basically pivot off of your front arm or your supporting arm and will raise the rifle up. So we'll wait to see her take this next shot, and it'll probably go up. But there's a couple of other ways that you can do it, and there you go. It's north of that 9.9. And as she starts to shoot more and starts to develop a new group here with about 3 minutes left, she's going to have to shoot fairly quickly in order to be able to get this really in the middle. But another way you can do it is to widen your hips in order to be able to widen your stance in order to be able to get the rifle to come further up. What that's going to do is basically shrink the distance between your forward elbow and your forward hip. And what that's going to do is artificially move the rifle in relation to the target. Yep. And she goes, she's now moved up from that 9.9 with that 10.4 and 10.5. You can see her, she just kind of leaned out away from the target and kind of picked herself up and kind of shoved her hip forward a little bit. You'll see her do that periodically throughout the match. And again, most of that occurs with short-statured shooters, only because the center line of the rifle literally has to be tilted up towards the target in order for them to be able to aim at the bull. One of the other unique things about Sophie's rifle, I think she's still sitting low and she's looking at it again. And there she goes. She's making that final sight adjustment up. There are some times where shooters will basically just say, they'll say, well, I've made all of the gross adjustments to my position, my stance, and the rifle that I'm willing to make. I'm just going to click it in at this point because it's still sitting low. Not sure how many clicks she made up, but honestly, in my professional opinion, I would have done maybe 2 up just based on where the center of that group is. And that's really what we're trying to do. Rather than focusing on the individual shot, trying to focus on the center of that group. You can see here she's now making some other adjustments to her rifle, lowering the cheek piece in order to be able to get that rifle a little bit further underneath herself and get it up towards the target. Running at around 40 seconds left in sighters and prep. You can even see some of the other shooters really starting to hone in. Sam Atkins, great group, nice and solid. Sophia, as we just talked about for a few minutes. Braden working his way in. He's got a 10-7 on sighter shot 11. Even the Murray State team doing phenomenal, really working their way into the bull here. Carlotta Salvia, also from Italy. X's on X's on X's. You can even see that she's just really starting to dial in that position. You can see how many shots she's really dialed in on. Same thing with Elisa here. Here, Coach Mullins in the background announced stop. All the targets will reset for everybody, and at this point, everything is for record. So there's no sighting period that you can go back to because there's no position changes like there are in the small bore portion of the match. And you can see that some of these rifles are like super blinged out. They're all multicolored and everything. It's one of the nice things about these rifles is that they're basically customized and they're personalized to each of these shooters here today. There's always this little dead period at the beginning of every match where everybody is waiting for the first shot to go off. Jacob starts us off with a 10-3. Caroline Martin from Murray State, 10-6. Carlotta Salvia with a 10-5. Mallory Johnson with a 10-0. It's a matter of who's going to shoot the first 9 at this point. Elisa Boozer with a 10-0. Abby Baller with a 10-7. Liz Prost with a 10-6. And the first 9 goes to Emma Lawrence. Unfortunate way to start off her match, but we got 10s across the board for UK, with the low going to Elisa Boozer with that 10-0. But again, 10-0 and go. It's a 10. You're not dropping any points. She's had X's throughout her last 5 or 6 shots in sighting period. I don't think she has anything to worry about. Jacobs comes off with a 10-3 with a 10-8. And we're seeing 10s across the board. Looks like Leah from Murray State has a 9-6. Lisa doubles up on that 10-0 with a 10-1 just south of it. Martin pops down with a 9-9 off of that 10-7. But across all of the UK shooters, 2 shots deep for everybody. There's 14, now 15 shots up on the board, and we've only got 1-9 so far. So again, like I was talking about, it's gonna be pretty difficult for Murray State to really catch up on the Cats today, particularly if everybody is shooting 10s. I mean, look at Murray State's board. They also have almost 20 shots up on the board at this point. And they only have 2 9s, similar to UK. So again, it's all a matter of 10s and X's at this point. Getting a good look at Sam at this point. Following through really well. He struggled a little bit in the last match in standing and this match in standing as well, but it looks like he's figured it out for air rifle. You can see him grabbing that pellet, rolling it between his fingers to check for any imperfections or impurities. You'll, particularly when the pellets come in tins, like the RWS pellets, you can, as you travel and move your equipment from place to place, range to range across the country, from New York to Alaska, those pellets in the tins can actually wind up getting dented. And if they're dented, well, it's not a perfect bullet. It's not a perfect pellet. And there's no reason to let yourself shoot a 9 if the pellet isn't up to your standards. And you see Sam really didn't like that shot there. A little bit far out for what he was looking to execute on. Still a 10-4. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's happy with it. And a lot of these shooters are going to be very critical with themselves when it comes to air rifle in particular, because of the air rifle scores that they know that they're capable of. Sam is absolutely capable of shooting a 598, 597, even shooting those really high scores, those 99s and 600s. And it's a matter of, in order to do that, you have to start the match out strong and you have to be very, very critical of what is a good shot and what is a bad shot. A bad shot in Sam's eye today just seems to be a 10-4. He may have squeaked really squeaked by with that 10-1. And there he goes. He's got a 10-6. But look at this group. He's got a nice solid group. He might want to take it one click down. He's looking down at his monitor, figuring out if he wants to do anything. He says, nope, I'm good with it. Going to let that rifle settle in, and we'll come back to him. Martin recovers off of that 9-9 with a great 10-8. Looks like he's figured out what his mistake was, and he's come back up to the middle. Braden is clean so far. Liz is clean. Sam is clean. Lisa's got one down. Jacob is clean. Sophia is clean. 6 shots in for another 10-3. And we called it. Taking a look at Sophia's group, she's still got that up and down movement coming through. And a lot of that is just because we've seen that in the past, but on top of that, just short-statured shooters tend to have that problem. They tend to struggle with this vertical movement. It's great because they're shorter. They got a lower center of gravity than somebody like Martin or Braden, who are north of 6 feet tall. And the rifles are heavier. You can see all the weight that Martin has on the end of his rifle. He's trying to come off of this 8-1 that he's popped out to the left. You can see him looking off, trying to settle in. Looking down, and comes in for a 9-8. And looks like he's going to make an immediate sight adjustment there. And sometimes you just got to look down range. You got to look at the rifle and do some soul searching, go through all the tools in the toolbox and figure out what's the best course of action. I'll have to ask him if he's using a steel tube too. So the nice thing about air rifles is that you can really play around with Okay, well that one didn't work, so we're back to the old headset. Okay, so the nice thing about air rifles is that it gives you a little bit more flexibility, or they have a little bit more flexibility on where the weights can go or how the weight is distributed. So there are aluminum tanks or cylinders that you can see in the underbarrel portion of his rifle there, and then there are steel versions of those. They do the exact same job, they just weigh a lot more. And what it does is it gets the weight low, or brings the center of gravity of the rifle lower, which can make balancing the rifle easier. Of course, it comes with the consequence of it becomes a heavy rifle. It becomes harder to stop moving if it starts to move. Most of the male shooters in the sport will tend towards heavier rifles, not only because they're physically able to hold the rifles stiller for longer, but because they generally like to have a heavier rifle because they can manage it a lot better. You can see even Braden here, I know for a fact he has a steel tank, and he's got added brass weight on the end of his rail there. You can see that in addition to not using a glove in Smallbore, he does not use a glove in air rifle as well. You can even see that between his pointer finger and his middle finger, he actually basically straddles the rifle there. And it works for him. He's 12 shots in, about to be 13. Clean so far. 13 shots in, 13 X's. And you really can't get any more clean than that. The other thing you'll notice on his rear sight, you can even see a small rod that's actually holding a small piece of prescription lens. A lot of the shooters now use small correction lenses or very slight corrective lenses in order to be able to just crisp up the image a little bit. Most of them, if they have 20/20 vision, will generally have a 0.25 prescription that's added onto that lens. There's good parts and bad parts about it. Good part is it crisps up the image. It generally helps you shoot better. The bad part is that it is a lens. It is a curved piece of glass that is between your eye and the raw image that you are looking at downrange. If you are in a bright environment, you risk glare against that lens. You can combat that with anti-glare coatings on the lenses, of course. However, you then have to clean the lens. If you just shot in Cairo, where it may be dusty because it's basically on the edge of a desert, and then you come back to Kentucky, maybe in the middle of fall when it's pollen season, then you may get residual bits of pollen, dust, dirt, grime, debris on that lens, and it winds up negating its original purpose of crisping up the image. And so trying to keep them clean is just something else that you need to be cognizant of while trying to use that tool. Nothing comes for free, basically. Again, looking across the board, the Cats are doing really well. Murray State is doing really well. Braden is 16 shots in, just over 10 minutes into the match, so he's got a really nice pace going. He'll probably finish up in around 45, 50 minutes if he doesn't come off the line. But he's clean, 16 shots in, 16 10s, 16 X's. Martin again with the wide 8. I don't know if that's him at this point. That's the same spot that he had the last 8. And I'm not sure if it's him at this point. I think he should start checking if stuff is loose. Cuz that doesn't pass the smell test. He's going from really, really deep 10s to a wide 8, and then he's coming back in. And that's not typical. I mean, these rifles will hold 40 shots inside of the 9 ring on the target. And for a rifle to just pop way out there, particularly air rifle, to pop way out there with a shot, there's either that tells me that there's something loose on the rifle. We'll see if that keeps happening or if this gets worse, but I think he's got to make a decision here on whether he's going to continue or he's going to start taking Allen keys and Allen wrenches to everything. Moving down the line, we've got Jacob St. Hilaire here. He's got a 99 on his first card, working on a 99 on his second. He's actually got an interesting glove format here. Some shooters have chosen to not shoot with the glove at all. Other ones use their regular standing glove that they would in small bore. And other ones have actually taken on to using like receiver gloves or golf gloves because they're slightly tacky and they're a little bit more form-fitting to everybody's fingers. You can even see Jacob has probably cut off that middle finger section of his glove because his middle finger is just a little bit too long. By the time you basically put the palm block on the middle of your hand and you wind up scooting your hand into an 11-pound rifle, I'm sure that the tip of his finger was digging into the seam on the inside of the glove, and that's probably why he just decided to cut it out. I had a glove during my career. I just cut off the tips of all the fingers. It was a weightlifting glove or an underglove for like a catcher. So it actually had some metallic supports around the knuckles and the creases of the digits of my finger. And that really helped actually just take up a lot of the weight of the rifle. With Jacob here, he's got now 2 9s on this target. It looks like he's shifting out to the left. You can just see the group just start to drift a little bit. That 9-9 still sitting out to the left to begin this on shot 11. He then tried to come back in with some deep 10s, and now he's just working his way out. And you can see again he's now trying to recompensate to come back over to the right. Again, picking up that pellet, rolling it between his fingers, loading it in. Yeah, and we come back to Martin, and he's now recovered from that 8-6 with a 10-9. So it may be him, it may not necessarily be equipment, but I'm very curious to see how his match progresses. Working down the line to Liz Probst, we got a 9-9 on shot 17. Again, short statured shooter. We're going to see a little bit of that vertical movement there. You can even see she started on the bottom side of that bowl and has worked her way up on the opposite end at 12 o'clock for that 9-9, and is still a little on that high side with this 10-2. Now, Liz has a very, very quick shot process. She comes down onto the target and down on the cheek piece at the same time. She is looking down the sights almost immediately. You can see her trigger finger just come onto that trigger, and she'll start to relax that hand, relax that hand, relax that hand. And you can barely see it. Yep. You barely see any movement come through on her trigger finger. She's literally using the weight of her hand, of her finger, to get the rifle to go off. Looking down, coming back up into her sights. You can see she'll flutter back up and off the trigger just to make sure that she doesn't accidentally fire when she doesn't mean to. She'll take that shot, follow through, look down. Unfortunately, that'll mean a 9-9 for her on shot 20. She's sitting at a third of the way through the match with a 198 with 17 so far. So she's only got one non-center 10, but she's got 2 9-9s on her second card. Definitely not happy about that, considering that she had a 100 on her first. Coming back over to Sam, he's clean so far. Still clean with with a 10-8, 10-6, and a 10-7 back-to-back-to-back. We'll leave him alone. He's doing well. Coming over to Elisa Boozer, 99 on her first card, has a wide 9-2 on shot 15. 4 10s, their predecessor. You can see she's even using a different glove than everybody else. She's got a sour glove. Looks like she's put that rifle down, just taking a little bit of a break. You can see that she's added some additional weights on her cheek piece. You can see just on the end of her stock there. Looks like she's using another barrel weight or 2 on the end there. She's got a little piece of tape to indicate where she should be putting her hand. And again, you can really start to see these moving on these zoomed in shots. Just look at the end of the barrel. Look at the front sight tunnel. And you can just start to see that movement stop. There you go. And she's got a nice 10-0 for it. It looks like she's going to come off the line too, take a little bit of a break, get some air under the glove hand. Looking over to Murray State here, we've got Leah working on a 99 on her second card for 197 with 14 X's. Looks like Carlota Salfia has already hit the halfway point. She's only down 2 points, 99 on her first, 99 on her second, 100 on her third. 4 10s, 4 X's deep on her fourth card, and she's got 2 9-9s, 1 on 32 and 1 on 34. Talk about doubling up. And a 10-1 on shot 35. Definitely doesn't look happy about that. She's really taking her time after that one, doing some soul searching. And I think her action is open at this point. I think she's just taking another hold on it. Every once in a while, you'll see these athletes or these shooters. They'll come back to the bull and actually take another hold at the target. No, she did load. She came right back on that with a 10-2. They'll actually come back onto the target. They'll take a hold, and they'll basically take a practice shot. They'll run through their entire shot process as if they were about to take the shot. The caveat, the big, huge caveat here is that in air rifle, you are not allowed to expel air without a pellet in the chamber. It is considered a missed shot. So if you accidentally don't turn on the safety mode on the rifle and you pull the trigger when the action is closed and there is no pellet, you unfortunately will have to take a 0 for the shot. Now, some people would ask, well, how can you tell the difference? How would you ever know if somebody did it? You can hear the difference. It's a very hollow, very loud crack sound versus the kind of dull tin sound that a shot will make. And you can even hear, if you listen closely, you can even hear the pellet hit the backside of the target. That's that high pitch ting kind of sound you'll hear at the end of that shot. Moving over to Abby Ballard, also from Murray State, 100 on her first card, a 98 on her second for a 198 with 13 X's. Shot 20 with a 10-6. Emma Lawrence, 98-98. She's got a great string of X's coming into her third card here. 2 10-8s back-to-back. Mallory Johnson, 99 and an 88 so far, looking to make it a 98. There we go. And she ends up with a 98 for 197 with 14 X's. Carlota Salfia, we are, 20 minutes into the match, and she is already 40 shots deep. She's got now 3 10-9s on the one target. It's pretty impeccable, actually. I don't think I've ever seen more 10-9s on a single target. And at her pace, she's looking to finish up in about a half an hour, 45 minutes left in the match. Caroline Martin, a 99, 100. 29 on this, 3 shots in. She had a 9-6 on shot 21, working her way down, trying to find her way back to the middle. She recovered off of that 9-6 with a 10-6, but now she's got a 10-1 kind of straddling the two. That 9-6 is currently sitting at around 5 o'clock. That 10-6 dead on in the middle. And that 10-1 is straddling between them right around the 5 o'clock range. Looks like most of the Kentucky shooters have come off for a break, a little bit of a breather. Like we talked about, that those first 20 shots and then a 5-minute break is fairly typical. That's kind of what the hour and 15-minute block time you can kind of break it up into. Looking at Sophia Ciccarello, it looks like she is working on a 10-9 or coming off of that 10-9. So it looks like she's taking another hold here. Didn't quite like how that first hold was looking. She had a 99 on her first card, had a wide 9-4 on her second. I think she's really working hard today. We saw her working really, really hard in Smallbore, particularly prone. And we saw her having to make some rather large adjustments towards the end of her prep and sighting period in air rifle. She had about 3 minutes left to go. She was changing butt plate height. She was changing her cheek piece. She was making sight adjustments. Trying to keep it cool off of that 10-9 and 10-6. Trying to come into shot 20 with another 10. Taking her time. She's always coming down really slow. She lets that rifle really settle into position. She looks off, lets her body just do what it wants. and she'll come down onto those sights, and you can barely see her move. Just a little bit of movement here left and right. 10-4, and she doesn't quite like it. She's going to take a click over to the right, and that makes sense. She's got 4 X's that are basically sitting right on top of each other in that nice little vertical group that we've talked about, and she's just trying to move that a little over to the right. We'll see how she starts off her third string here. And we'll give her teammates some love. Coming down nice and slow. And one of the unique things about Sophia's rifle is that she actually has an electronic trigger. We talked about some of the other technological advancements that these rifles have transitioned to, and electronic triggers is one of them. The nice thing about the electronic trigger is that you have complete control over the entire trigger process. So you can adjust the first stage weight, the second stage weight. You can, on a dime, you can change whether you want a single stage trigger or a 2-stage trigger. The other thing you have is a larger range of trigger weight adjustment. The typical mechanical triggers will go down to about 20 or 25 grams. I'm using the SI or the European metric because most of these rifles happen to be made in either Germany or Switzerland, and so a lot of the rifle specs are done in grams. They're done in the metric system. So 20 to 25 grams equates to about an ounce. If you can think about that, it's about the weight of a piece of paper. A piece of paper weighs about 50 grams. Most of the mechanical triggers from the Smallbore perspective will go right around 40 or 50 grams. The air rifle triggers are a little bit lighter just because the mechanisms are a little bit different. The electronic triggers, however, can go all the way down to something like 5 or 10 grams. If you can imagine, you can literally blow air on the trigger and it will go off. The nice part is that you can instantly dry fire those triggers. So you don't necessarily have to open and close the action or flip over a switch or anything. The triggers automatically reset. Generally speaking, the charge rating is up to about 5,000 rounds or a sleeve worth of pellets. But I just can't get over the fact of having to charge my rifle. So I never liked the idea. Plus, the electronic triggers, it's another thing to break. You know, you can make the same argument for the mechanical triggers, but it's the same thing like modern cars. Most modern cars, everything is electronic, or the check engine light comes on because one of my headlights is out. Well, then why did the check engine light come on just because the headlight was out? I just needed to change out the bulb. It's kind of like that same thing. I'm always a fan of keep it mechanical and keep it simple. Versus trying to make sure that, oh crap, my rifle wasn't charged enough midway through the match, so now I have to plug it into a USB port in the middle of a match to make sure that I can finish. It's just something that just bothers me in particular. But some people really like it. Sophia happens to really like it. Her trigger weight is probably around 15 grams, probably sitting at around a half an ounce. If you can imagine how much a half an ounce weighs. I can't quite come up with something tangible that weighs about a half an ounce, but if you can think about a paper clip sitting on your finger, weighs more than half an ounce. So like the level of detail, the level of complexity of the rifles is just really kind of exploded in the last few years. I saw a comment earlier about doing more hunting in Murray of the Racers, the favorite here. If we just look at overall rankings, the Cats, I'm pretty sure are ranked higher than the Racers, and coming out of the Smallbore match, they are 17 points ahead of them, so they will be the favorite for today. That's nothing to say that the Racers aren't a great team or that they don't have the talent. They've shot some impeccable scores so far this season, and would have beaten us last weekend with the score that the UK shot. So definitely don't discount them. They are a they are a championship level team. It's just like every other team out there. It's just a matter of doing it all on making sure that everybody does it all on the same day and executes the way that they need to in order to be able to pull out a great team score. Going across the board again, just because the air rifle match it just happens to, everybody shoots a little bit faster. It's a little bit more exhilarating here. So we've got Leah, who's got a 98, 99, and a 100. So just kind of ramping up the performance throughout her match. She's got a 9.7 on shot 32. She's taking her time on this next shot. While she's doing that, we'll talk about Carlota Salfi, her teammate right next to her. She is at shot 50 so far. We are just half an hour into the match. So it looks like Carlota's slowed down a little bit. She's got a pair of 99s, then a pair of 100s. Unfortunately, on this card, she's got a 97. She is taking a break. You can see that she's got a rifle put down on the stool in front of her, just feeling herself out, trying to wonder where 2 9.4s came from in comparison to the rest of her match. You got to think she's dropped more points on this card, these 10 shots, than she did in the previous 40. So give her a little bit of grace. We'll see what she comes back with. She just picked up a rifle. She's coming back into it. Abby Ballard, a little bit slower, but she's working on coming up on the halfway point in her match. Looks like some of the Kentucky shooters are back up on the line here, coming right back into it. This is another one of the disciplines where up downs are really, really beneficial, particularly in air rifle, where you're probably going to come off the line more times because it's a lot easier to come off the line when you're actually you're still standing up. It's a lot more difficult for somebody to come off the line while they're shooting prone. You're lying on the ground. You're linked up to the rifle with a sling. You are hunkered down into position to make the decision to detach yourself from the rifle, roll up out of position, get up, and then trek over to where your coaches are to have a conversation is a lot more disruptive than it is to just put the air rifle down in front of you and literally turn around and just walk over to a coach to talk to them. So we generally see shooters are more apt, or they're more willing to come off the line in the standing position than they are in the slinged positions in small bore. The other thing you got to think about is if I told you to stand, put your feet as wide as possible and stand there for an hour and a half, your feet would probably go to sleep within the first 10 or 15 minutes. Now, these shooters shoot a lot. They're shooting between 4 and 5 days a week, a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours at a time. They have trained to be able to stand in place for much longer than the average human being. Probably 20 to 30 minutes before, their toes start to fall asleep or portions of their soul start to get a little bit tired or weak. And so they can stay up there for longer, but if they don't need to, or if they are struggling and need to come off, then they're more than welcome to do so, and they probably will. They're just more apt to do it, particularly in the standing positions. Coming across the board, Braden and Sam are neck and neck. They are tied for score, clean so far throughout the match. Looking at Martin, he's coming back up to the line. He's got a 96 on his first card, 98 on his second. He is 3 shots in, or 3 10s into his third card for shots 21, 22, and 23. Coming back up to the line. We'll come back to him in just a couple of minutes. Looks like Liz is coming off of that 98. We saw her take a break, come back and talk with coaches. She's come back with a deep, deep group. She's got 8 X's deep so far. Again, we'll leave her alone. She's doing great. Lisa, 99 on her first, 97 on her second. Starting off her third string with a solid 10. Running a little slow. Again, thinking of that 20 minutes for 20 shots, a minute a shot. So Elisa is only 21 shots into the match, but we're already past the half-hour mark. We're coming up on the 40-minute mark. I'm sorry, the 35-minute mark of the match, 35 minutes in. So 35 minutes in, she only has 22 shots to show for it. So running just a little slow. Jacob coming down a little bit with that 9-6. Got a 99 on his first card, 98 on his second. Working on a 99 on this one as well. Not a bad position for him. Sophia, 99 on her first, 99 on her second. Again, I'm telling you, 99s and 100s are gonna keep on popping up as we keep talking about this match. And Liz now cleans her third card for 100 with 10 X's. She's now has a 298 with 27. So great job to her. Coming back down to her teammate Sophia, 299s in a row, a 100. She's now got 2 shots in. She's hit the halfway mark with a 298. And she's got 2 10s so far. She had that wide 10-1. Again, it seems like just overall, you can see her just kind of fidgeting a little bit in her jacket there a little bit. She's checking her pellet before she puts it in. Going to close up her action. Making sure that her elbow and that shoulder, that left-hand shoulder, are fitting inside the jacket so that they're comfortable. Again, going to let that rifle settle. It's going to come down nice and slow on that cheek piece. Great look at the Italian Olympian. And shot goes a little bit out to the left. And again, she's very willing, very confident in where those pellets are going. Very willing to take a click here, a click there in order to be able to get it back into the middle. And again, as the positions shift over time, they'll shift throughout the match. There may be a portion of time where these athletes will start to tend, so they'll relax in particular ways, and so their groups will just drift a little bit. I mean, we're talking about the difference, a few millimeters downrange, and because of that, they'll have to make these small adjustments either in their sights or their position. You'll see Sophia is really working hard today. You're going to see her take multiple holds on these shots. She's working a little slow because of that. She's got 27 shots left, 38 minutes to go. Generally, she shoots a little bit faster than this. Yeah. Yeah, see, and again, she's just not happy with how that rifle is sitting. To you and me, the end of that rifle doesn't look like it's moving at all. To her, it looks like it's moving from the 8 ring back into the 10 ring. She's just not happy with it and isn't willing to accept that she's just going to have to shoot through it. She's going to work her butt off to make sure that that rifle is still and continues to stay still as she squeezes that trigger. Yeah, always happy to give a little bit more love to some of the other sports here at UK other than basketball. And you can see here, I think she's just frustrated and she's getting just a little tired. She's got 26 shots left to go for the match. She's just past the halfway point. So she's going to have to deal with it. Unfortunately, some of these days are just like this. You can even see her. She's really tensing that neck to make sure that she gets that cheek in the right position. You can see her finger just poking through the front side of her trigger guard there. Yeah. So in case you missed it, there are 60 shots in each of the disciplines. So there's 60 shots in the small bore portion of the match that's broken up into 20 shots each of the prone, kneeling, and standing positions. The kneeling position, the prone position, and then the standing position in that order. And then the air rifle portion of the match, where we move the line forward, which is done, so the small board portion is done at 50 feet. And then the air rifle portion is done at 10 meters or around 33, 34 feet. Is also 60 shots. It's broken up into 6 10-shot strings or cards, as you'll hear me refer to it throughout the match. And then what will happen is the combination of the small bore and the air rifle scores will move towards the total for the individual shooter. And then from there, depending on which shooter is actually squatted towards the team score or selected to be part of the team's score, those scores will then get combined to become an aggregate for each of the teams. So here we are, 35 minutes left in the match, and Carlota Salvia is done. She is finished up. She ended on 100 on her last card there with solid 10-8, finishing up with a 595 with 48 X's. A little low on the X count, but I think a lot of that is coming from those 2 first targets where she had those 99s, and then that 97 where she had some weak 10s pop in with those 9-4s. Coming across the board, it looks like Leah has just entered her 5th card for shot 41 with a solid 10-5. Trying to do the same thing that her teammate Carlota is, trying to come off of a 97 with another strong score. Abby Ballard, 100, 98, 97, 9-9 on shot 31 to start her 4th series. Doing well, coming back in with a 10-7 and 10-5, hoping she stays there. Emma with a 9-7 on shot 35, hovering right around that 98 realm, that 98-point realm from card to card. Mallory Johnson with a 99, 95, and an unfortunate, 99, 98, and then the unfortunate 95 on her 3rd string. Hanging out on the left-hand side of the bowl so far, 4 shots in, 2 9s, 2 10s, and it looks like she's working her way back. And then Caroline Martin doing well. It looks like she's gonna clean this with a nice solid 100 again, coming off of that 97, just like your teammate Carlota did. Yeah, and she's got a nice solid 10-7 to show for it, for a 396 with 31 X's. So she'll probably finish up right around the same point count that her teammate Carlota did. Get a good look at Braden here. Unfortunately, started out his 5th series with 2 9s, extremely close. Looks like a 9-8 and 9-9. He's now shot 3 centers to come off of that, coming off the line to take a break. See him doing that little waddle walk because the canvas pant legs are super stiff, and it becomes really hard to just walk straight and walk normal. Teammate Martin Voss there on the right-hand side of our screen, doing really well coming off of the first few series that he had. 96 and 98 to start the match, but he came back on the line to shoot a 100 on his 3rd series, starting out his 4th, shot 31 with a 10-3. Looking off, doing that same thing like we see all shooters do, kind of feathering that finger on and off the trigger. You can really start to see a lot of that decision-making happen with that trigger finger. You can see, see a lot of that movement coming forward. Doesn't like it. Comes off and readjusts, and it looks like he's doing a small reset here. Looking off at our camera here. Who knows, he might wave at us. There you go. Nice and solid. Executes nicely for a 10-6. That's what air rifle is all about. It's what really standing is all about, is trying to execute among all of the balance and sway issues that can plague this position. Coming over to his teammate Elizabeth Probst, 2 100s back to back for a 398 with 35 X's. Teammate Sam Adkins is clean through the match through shot 44 with 40 X's. And we will move on. So good looking at Elisa Boozer coming off of that 97 with another 99, starting off her 4th series strong with a 10-1. 10-0 and go, girl. In this case, 10-1 and go. So again, 10s are the name of the game. If we're lucky at the end of the match, we'll see the scores actually turn over. The coaches have the ability to turn them over to decimal score to give these shooters an idea of what it would be like if they were shooting a international competition or if they were shooting a USA shooting event where decimal scores are counted instead of integer scores. Across the board, we haven't seen enough teams shoot close enough integer scores for us to make the transition and move over to decimal scores. But it looks like Elisa didn't quite like that shot for a 9-8. She's almost doubled it up on that 10-1 right at 9 o'clock. Looks like she's going to come off the line, unbutton her jacket, get a little bit of breathing room. It's always a sigh of relief when you open up those pants that are basically like restricting you breathing because they're so tight sitting that high up on your waist. Looks like Jacob is also doing well. 99, 98, 99, and now working on another 98. He's got some really close 9s. The group is not bad. It's not. It's just a little bit too big to call it a 100. He's got a 9-9 on shot 34 and a 9-9 on shot 38. I think the group is still sitting just a little low for us here. I think if he bumped it up one click, I think he would still be missing a point, but I think he would get one of those 9-9s back. You can see, again, he's got this negative cant, and as a right-handed shooter, you can even see how much twist he's got in his left wrist and his left hand. If you can just put your middle finger straight towards the wall, if you put your elbow on your hip, and then take your hand and then rotate it another 30 or 60 degrees, you can probably feel your whole forearm light up because of how tight it is. There's advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is, yeah, the muscles are tight, they can't move. The bad thing is the muscles are tight and they probably can't sit like that for too long. And so you wind up if you sit in that position for long enough, the muscles can actually tense and you can actually tweak or twitch the rifle out of the 10 ring, which is never a good thing. So it looks like Jacobs is just doing rinse and repeat. He's taking a shot. It's a 10. Put the rifle down, load a pellet in, pick it back up again, come down on the sights, do it all over again. Again, we can kind of see this negative cant that he has. Not a bad thing. Just an observation. Yep, 10-7, rinse and repeat. He's looking down at his monitor. Cool. Look, he's cool, calm, crisp, calculated. No emotion coming through on his face. Looking just on the end of that barrel here. He's got a lot of movement now, and right there. Didn't like it, puts the gun down. Takes a couple of seconds of a break. Comes right back down on the cheek piece. Don't strafe it. Don't strafe it. Don't strafe it. There he goes. Takes a little bit of a break after that one. I don't think he liked his execution on it. Yeah, you can see him kind of roll his head a little bit. And that's one of the other downsides to having this negative cant, this outward cant, is that you can really see Jacob kind of strain his neck a little bit in order to be able to get over to the cheek piece, and you'll wind up getting a little bit tense as the match goes on. And it looks like Sam has dropped his first 9, a 9-6 on the north side of the bull. You can actually see he had a 10-0, a 10-1. Those were his red flags saying that something is different. You can see that those 10-4s sitting low in the bull, and then he's got that 10-1 and 10-0 sitting high in the bull, and then he had a 9-6 or 9-5 out to the right. But hey, 45 shots clean. Really, really good. Really, really awesome performance for Sam so far. And he's got plenty of time. We've got 14 shots left for Sam, and he's got 26 minutes left in the match. No problems whatsoever. Coming back over, it looks like I don't think Braden is coming back up the line. Otherwise, we'd see his back foot there. He's also still taking a break. Getting a quick look back at Martin here. Despite the 2.8s that he's had so far, he's doing fairly well. He's on pace for a 93 so far, a 593. He's still struggling with his balance and sway right now. But those 2.8s are really going to hurt him on the front end of the match. He's got that 96 and 98, only to come after with a 100 and working on a 99 now. The other thing you'll notice is that not everybody shoots pellets from a tin. Some people shoot different brands of pellets. There's a particular Chinese brand the pellets are individually pressed into a small piece of foam so that while you are traveling, the pellets can't bump into each other or get damaged as you travel. And so it becomes really, really nice to be able to have these really like individual slots or points where all of those little pellets sit. And so that's what Martin's doing right now. Talked about this earlier with keeping yourself hydrated throughout the match, but we see water bottles and Propel bottles all across the line here. A couple of Gatorade bottles, a couple of personal water bottles. But as you get closer to the target and the intensity of the light that comes in through these sights increases, you can more easily burn your eyes out, particularly in air rifle. And there's a couple of ways that you can combat that. You can use different color filters. You can change the diopter or the aperture size on the rear sight. You can even change out filters on the front sight. But a lot of movement here today. We don't typically see this much movement. A lot of the Kentucky shooters and the Murray State shooters are coming off the line, talking with coaches, trying to get a sense of what they're doing wrong, talk through their match, talk through some of the issues that they are seeing that the coaches can't necessarily see, and then come back into the match and just start shooting tens again, without having to go back to sighters, which I think is the most impressive part of it all. Another good look at Sophia Ciccarello from the University of Kentucky here. Again, 299s, 2 100s, clean so far in this card. And again, coming and sitting low in the bull again. Yep, and then she comes north of it with a 10-8. Really taking her time here. Like we talked about, she's been struggling a little bit today. She's really been working through a lot of issues that she's seeing down her sights. Seeing just a little bit of tweaky movement here. I know it's really, really difficult to see, but yeah, she's taken multiple holds on these shots. And we see this too in the time as well. We just crossed 22 minutes left. She's got 16 shots to go. We were in a similar situation earlier in the match. Just taking every minute that she needs to make sure that she gets every point that she wants. Still doesn't like it. This is now the third hold that she's had on this. And it seems like they're doing the same thing every single time. And maybe they are. And it's just sometimes it just doesn't seem to be working one day or the other. You got to think some days you wake up and, your hip's a little tight. Sometimes your thigh is a little tight. Sometimes your ankle is a little stiff. Your neck is, I slept on it wrong. Sometimes you're a little taller one day or a little shorter one day. You weigh a little bit more one day. You weigh a little bit less one day. You don't fit into the jacket the same way. The sweater underneath is crinkled a particular way, or it's bunching up in my armpit, and it didn't do that before. Much of these little minute details that kind of add up to the comfort and the position and what the sight picture actually looks like. At this point, we're 20 minutes and change left in the match. Some of the Murray State shooters have finished already. We've got Leah with a 592 with 43 X's. We've got her teammate, Carlota Salfia, with a 595 with 48 X's. Looks like both Abby Ballard and Caroline Martin are at the 50 shot mark, working on shot 51. They are nearly neck and neck. Abby is down 7 points. Caroline down 6, and they are nearly tied in X count as well. Abby with 34 so far, and Caroline with 36 so far. Emma Lawrence, fortunate 9-4 on shot 49. That will make this card a 99, assuming she can follow up with a 10. She's been hovering right around that 98, 99 mark for this match. She is down 9 so far with 32 X's. Mallory Johnson, clean so far on her 5th string. Got a little bit of left and right coming through. And this is actually, this is a good example. And I don't mean to pick on Mallory at all, but the group that we see here where it's that 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock kind of slashy kind of movement that we see, that's fairly indicative of a cant issue or inconsistent cant, whether it be canting out, canting in. I only know this from experience because I really struggled with this in air rifle as well, in that I found it very, very difficult to not have negative cant. All I wanted was neutral cant. I just wanted the rifle to point straight up and down, and I found it extremely difficult even to this day. When I pick up a rifle, I just happen to have a negative cant, and I know I've got a big head on top of my shoulders, and I'm a relatively big guy in comparison to some other shooters, and having my head turned over and my equilibrium basically turned away from me and trying to look down the sights and look at this crazy image, I just found very, very difficult. And you can see here her 5th shot even is in that same string of 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock or the 5 to 11 kind of area. And it's this particular pattern is indicative of some inconsistent cant. Now, you can see here, even though it's maybe inconsistent, or that's where she's just actually executing her shots, that she has all 10s. Don't get me wrong. She's clean so far. But she could give herself a little bit more allowance if cant is the issue. She could give herself a little bit more allowance if she just focused on making sure that was consistent from shot to shot. And even this 10-8, they all fall in that same line. We'll see what she does on the rest of these shots here, but I'm nearly certain that they're all going to fall in the same line. Popping back over to our University of Kentucky athletes here, looks like both Braden Pizer and Sam are back up on the line. Sam was able to continue through his 5th series clean, is now clean through 3 shots of his 6th series. His last one will come off of him, coming back over to Braden. Same thing, took a break after shot 45, coming back onto the bull with 3 X's. A little bit on left and right coming through. talking with him earlier, it sounded like he struggled with that in Cairo in air rifle as well. So he's struggling a little bit with that, locking that hip out and making sure that he's executing while the rifle is still and steady and not trying to strafe and basically pull the trigger while he's moving. Never something that we want to try to do. Sophia finishes up that card nicely. She's got a 99, so she's only down 3 points so far. Martin also doing well. Second half of his match is looking great in comparison to the first half. He's got a 199, and he's clean so far in his 5th series. Liz is also doing very well. She's only down 2 points so far, clean on her 5th card. Jacob had a 100 on his 5th series. Looks like he might have gotten to him a little bit. He's not doing so hot in this last one, but he's got a 10-4 on shot 59. He's got one more to go to finish up his match. And we've just crossed the 15-minute mark remaining. So we got 15 minutes left in the match to go. Everybody seems to be on pace. Nobody seems to be really struggling for time. Sam coming in with a high 10-1 again. I'm hoping that he doesn't make the same mistake he did on that last night. I want him to finish out really nice and strong. He's been putting in a lot of work this year. Looking back over, putting in a lot of work this year. So he's on the gun. Come on, bring it down, Sam. Bring it down. Come back in. There we go. Comes off of that 10-0 with a 10-7. Stacking it right up in that group that he's got in the middle. Liz finishes up her 5th series with a 100, and that is 9 X's, folks. Stellar score. She's only down 2 points so far because of that second target. Got 44 X's with 50 shots up on the board. 2 of them were 9s. So she's only got, what is that? 4 non-center 10s and 50 shots? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. And Jacob finishes up his match with the unfortunate 9-8, so he's got a 95 on his last card. And that did put him at a 589 with 43 X's. I don't know, you can see him there just talking with Coach Papasadora, going back over, doing a quick overview of the match while it's fresh and clean in his brain, basically doing a data dump. See teammate Sophia Ciccarello against the wall there, starting off strong on that last series with a 10-4. We've got multiple people in the high 90s today. Elisa Boozer starting off her last string of shots strong. She's hanging right on that 590 mark. She's got 2 10s or 2 X's so far. Sophia with 2 10-4s, doubled up in the same spot. Lots of 10s coming through. Sam with a 10-5 on shot 58. He's got 2 left to go for the match. Liz with 8 left to go. Martin with 7 left to go. And Braden with 7 left to go. And Braden's got a nice tight group. I think he should take one click up just to give himself a little bit of leeway there. Elisa doing well. Nice tight group similar to Braden's. Just a little left of center there. This is great. Sam really taking his time on these last 2. Wants to make sure he finishes well. He's got plenty of time. He's got 11 and a half minutes to go. Liz shows up with a 10-9 on shot 53. Again, a nice close-up of Sam here. You can see him he's just working through some of the nerves right now. Oh, he's got a 10-0. It's still on that high side. You can see him kind of looking at the monitor, kind of analyzing that a little bit. And he takes the click down. Okay. We'll see if he takes how many holds he winds up taking on this last one. You can see him really, he's not even looking down the sights yet. He's just trying to get the rifle to settle, get his position to settle. Now he's looking down. He's doing the same thing he was earlier. He's taking nice, short, deep breaths. Wait for it to settle. Yeah! Nice job, Sam, with a 10-8 on shot 60. Finishing up his match with a career high 599 with 52 X's. So we've had a career high, 2 career highs so far today. One for Elizabeth Probst shooting right behind him in Smallbore. And Sam Atkins breaking his career high air rifle record with a 599 with 52 X's. Great job. And look at that. He is just a cool, calm, collected guy. Look at him. He's just like, yep, we're just going to wait. This is just another day. Awesome. Martin also doing very well. Again, second half of his match is going much better than the first portion here. He's got a 199, and it looks like he's going to have another set of 199s here. Him and Braden are basically going shot for shot at this point. I think they both have 2 or 3 shots left to go. Martin really taking time here, waiting for the rifle to settle before he comes down onto the cheek piece. There you go, and you can see he's not fallen forward. Really taking his time there. Liz with that unfortunate 9-9 on shot 58. Recovering a little bit with that 10-1 right on that same spot. Come to the left, girl. Just come a little bit to the left. You can even see she's starting to drift. She started on the bottom portion of that bowl right around 7 o'clock, and she's working her way towards 3 o'clock. Barely any movement, but we can see a little bit of sway out to the right, and there she goes. She finishes on a nice solid 10-8 for a 597 with 52 X's. Awesome. I think she's happy to just call this match done and over with. Sophia also putting in the work. Pair of 99s, pair of 100s, 99 on her 5th card. Clean so far on her last. She's 3 points down, similar to her teammate Elizabeth Probst. A little bit lower in X count, but we've talked about this. She's just been working super, super hard today. Even in the team room, she was in the zone. Yeah, and she's starting to fight the clock a little bit. 5 shots to go, 6.5 minutes left. 4 shots to go, 6.5 left to go. And you can see she's loading a little bit quicker. She's making the quick sight adjustment. Still waiting for that rifle to settle. Going through the same shot process as soon as she picks up that rifle. See a little bit of left movement, a little bit of right coming back. It's kind of difficult, but if you look at the end of her cylinder underneath the barrel and her palm rest or her stand there, you can really start to see that movement. Wasn't a lot there. Executed really well for a 10-8. If you look really, really closely, you might have to go full screen in order to be able to see it. You start to see it sink a little bit. Coming to the right, coming to the left, coming to the right again. Coming back over to the left. Now it's steady. Oh, she didn't like it. She's going to break it again. It's really, really hard, particularly with Sophia. It's so hard to see such a small movement. Again, just looking at the little white space in between the end of the black cylinder and the black rifle stand, you can see just a little bit of movement there. And she still doesn't like it. She sees a lot of that left and right movement, and it's coming through on her target too. She's got that 10-1 out to the left, and it looks like she's got that 10-3 or 10-4 sitting out. I'm sorry, the 10-1 sitting out to the right, and the 10-3, 10-4 sitting out on the left. 3 shots to go, 4 minutes left. There she goes. Yep. So you can really start to see that movement start to really dial in, and then she'll break it. She'll execute it. But she's not gonna strafe it. She's not gonna shoot while it's moving. She's really fighting for every single point that she's gonna grab today. And it looks like at this point, Sophia is the last of the Kentucky shooters up on the line. She's got 2 shots left, 3.5 minutes to do it in. She has the time, don't get me wrong. But with her taking 2 and 3 holds per shot, I don't want to see her get into a bind here. That clock can really pressure you to want to pull the trigger before you're actually ready. And see she's sped things up a little bit. Before she was letting the rifle settle, and then she was coming down slowly onto the cheek piece. This time she didn't quite let the rifle settle, and then she came down fast. I think she's just ready for the match to be over with. And there she goes. She finished up with a pair of 10-7s for a 597 with 48 X's. And that concludes this home match here in Barker Hall in Lexington, Kentucky. With 2 minutes to spare. Never thought an hour and 15 minutes would go by so fast. Going down the line, we've got Braden Pizer, starting with the University of Kentucky. We've got Braden Pizer with a 598, 52 X's. Martin Voss, 591, 47. Elizabeth Probst, 597 with 52. She now has 2 career highs today, one in Smallbore, as well as her aggregate. So the aggregate of her Smallbore and her air rifle score together for today, also career high. Sam Adkins killed it in in air rifle today. 599, 52 X's for a career high. Elisa Boozer with a 588, it looks like. I'm trying to look at a really tiny screen here. 588 with 35 X's. Jacob St. Hilaire with a 589, 43. Sophia Ciccarello ending on a nice solid 100. Pair of 10-7s. 597 with 48 X's. Solid performance from the University of Kentucky. Moving over to the Murray State Racers. We got Leah Soleil with a 592 with 43 X's. Carlota Salfia, 595 with 48. Abby Ballard, 592 with 42. Emma Lawrence with a 589 with 41. Mallory Johnson, 588 with 37 X's. Caroline Martin, 589, 39 X's. So it doesn't look like the Murray State Racers were able to make up for the deficit after Smallbore. Here in just a little bit, we'll calculate up the aggregate scores for the two teams. We'll get that loaded onto the NCAA results website, and we'll see how the Cats and the Racers did today as team aggregates. But great match today. Smallbore going very well. Air rifle going even better. That means that Braden Pizer, Elizabeth Probst, Sam Atkins, and Sophia Ciccarello were squatted for air rifle. So between those four shooters' scores, we have 3 from Sophia, 3 points from Liz for a total of 6, 1 from Sam for a total of 7, and 2 from Braden for a total of 9 points down for the air rifle team for the University of Kentucky. It's a 23-91. That's 10 points across 4 shooters. That's honestly impressive. And if I'm doing the math right, 23-56 is what we came out with after Smallbore, down 9 points. It means that the Cats would have finished up at a 47-47 today. I believe that ties the season high. But at this point, all shooters are basically going to get out of their gear, get off of the hot and heavy canvas. Oh, I did my math wrong. No, we had a 23-59 coming out of Smallbore for a 47-50. For the Wildcats aggregate. They will top the Murray State Racers with 342 X's. The Racers come out with a 47-10, 289 X's. That is the second highest team score the UK has ever shot. 47-52 is the program record here at UK. So just a couple points shy. Nothing big. No biggie. Just another Tuesday. Just another Saturday. Like I said, these shooters will start to get their hot and heavy canvas off of them. Teammates and spectators. And UK Athletics retirees will come up and congratulate them. Great performance from them today. Move all their equipment back into their lockers and get after it the next day. And that's it, folks. That concludes the second home match here in Barker Hall, Lexington, Kentucky, for the University of Kentucky Wildcats hosting the Murray State Racers, shooting a impeccable 47-50, 342 X's, down only 9 points for the air rifle team. Multiple career highs and season high for the Wildcats today. Good news is this is not the last match of the fall portion or the fall portion of the season here for the UK Rifle team. The next match we will be going to is in actually, I'm sorry. No, this is the last match for the fall portion of the season. We will pick back up in Fairbanks, Alaska, over the weekend of January 17th and 18th, where the Wildcats will face up against the University of Alaska Fairbanks Nanuks, as well as the Nebraska Huskers in a three-way tri-match. But until then, we hope to see you. Support the Cats in any way you can. Peek into the broadcast when you can on any of our home matches. And we'll see you next time. There we go. A little highlight here. Elizabeth Probst, career high, small bore and aggregate. Braden Pines with a 591 in small bore, 598 in air rifle. Sam with a career high 599 in air rifle, 2 points shy of program record. Racers coming in at a 47.10 with Leah's 590 in small bore, 592 in air rifle. Abby's 590 in small bore, 592 in air rifle. Emma's 583 in small bore, 589 in air rifle, and teammate Martin's 582 in small bore, 589 in air rifle. Till next time, folks, if you enjoyed the broadcast, please make sure to let us know. We're always looking at comments here through YouTube. And make sure you give us a little bit of shout out to your friends and family so that they can also tune in. But till next time, have a good one.